his debut, Jarno Uppbeat wins at Spa.
It's Martinez in Montreal. David beats Goliath.
It's a true underdog story. John Evans wins at Mexico.
And it's Super Sam Corby who takes the PlayStation Championship.
FRA Ron takes his first WOR Championship. He is your Xbox champion.
And Jake Benham is a two-time WOR champion.
Stop it! Above the outside operated line shadow is contact again. Ron is around.
Bethany, surely it's going to win here at Abu Dhabi. He does.
16 races across 5 continents, from Brazil to Belgium and Bahrain to Britain. Soon this story starts. Across 3 platforms, hundreds will begin the quest in search of glory and the right to be called a WOR champion. Lights out, and we're racing in Season 12.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the World Online Racing. We are here at the Spanish Grand Prix circuit. This circuit, the Catalonia. We've seen plenty of last-ditch title battles today in football. We've seen plenty of action around this track in Formula 1. Hopefully, WOR will be able to combine both of them today. My name is Luke Etheridge. I'll be bringing you through the action. And joining me in the commentary box today is Chris Buxton. Chris, how are you doing?
Very, very well. Thank you, Luke. Really looking forward to this. We've got some of the best in the business here on the PC side for the penultimate round of the WOR Season 12 PC Tier 1 League. Oh, yeah. Excited for this. Now, I made no secret of the fact I'm, as far as real-life racing is concerned, not a big fan of Catalonia, but in sim racing terms, it never, ever fails to disappoint. So, it never fails to disappoint. It never fails to entertain. The real life one, I never fails to disappoint very often. But we're in for an absolute treat. Now, we've got a few people that won't be taking part in qualifying. Thomas Ronhardt's got a qualifying ban. And we've got a last to first challenge going on as well, which, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Catalonia, even in its new reshaped guise, is it really the easiest to overtake on? Not particularly. So, turn 10 is still going to be the favourite part. Turn 1, yeah, it depends how well you've dealt with the final turn. Now, on my track map, they're all named. I don't think I've ever commentated on Catalonia using corner names, so I'll be using corner numbers. Not because I can't pronounce most of the corner names whatsoever. You've got no evidence of that one. But championship-wise, Nicolas Longuet holding a 19-point lead up front, but has not seen the top step of the podium since right back in Austria, round 4. So consistency being really key to the Frenchman. His main championship rival, Alvaro Carreton, not here. He's at the Spanish Grand Prix. So, he's... I'm not even going to go into what happened in case there's any spoilers out there. But Tomasz Paragic, Thomas Ronhart, and Shanaka Clay. I didn't see Shanaka in the list. I don't think Shanaka's with us tonight. But they are still within a chance of the championship spot, and the fight between those 4 are really, really close. So it's really long games to lose at this stage, but we still have a round after this one, bear in mind. But right now, it is all eyes on Catalonia.
Yeah, all eyes on Catalonia indeed. You can see the standings up there. The simplest permutation, of course, Longuet wins the race, he wins the championship. As easy as that. If he doesn't finish in the top 6, there's still a chance for Carreton to beat him next time out at the final round of the season at Brazil. And things could have been a lot closer indeed. You might remember last time we thought it was Alvaro Carreton that had taken the victory at Silverstone. But in the end, Thomas Ronhart was able to get that penalty removed in the Aston Martin. And he claimed another victory this season. 3 drivers behind Longuet have all managed to pick up 3 victories so far. So he's sort of relying on the fact that he can beat them on points. Count back, not really in his favour. Heading to Catalonia, of course, a slightly different circuit on this game, on F1 2021, to what we've seen in real life. The final sector having that slightly different, having a bit of a sharper corner, which might actually just make it a tiny bit easier to overtake.
That's right. It's in its kind of 2022 guys. It didn't get updated with the game. So you've got that really, really sharp braking zone coming into turn 10, and then that kind of really twiddly bit coming through turn 11, and or Bank Sabadell, as it's called, turn 12, before you end up with that really Mickey Mouse, but I hate the end of Catalonia. So from Eurocar, so the last 3 corners, not a fan of it personally. But we will see how our incredible sim racers deal with it. It is going to be the tighter circuit layout this time around. For the rest of the circuit, though, we're going to be in for some action. So being that we often see some interesting action going on around turn 9, so that long right-hander before you get to that very, very heavy braking zone. The biggest areas of entertainment are going to be down at turn 10, and for those that are really brave, into turn 1. Is the reason why I say for those of the brave, it's not a very big braking zone into turn 1. So even though they're coming at it at absolutely full crank and would have been on the gas for a long time, it's not a huge braking zone down into Elf or turn 1. So, but we're going to see a fair amount of side-by-sides going through 1, 2, and 3 more than likely. But turn 10, that's where most of the action's going to be happening.
Yeah, definitely. And I think also with the run down towards turn 1, as we saw in reality, it is a very long run on the way down to that first corner. So getting a good start is going to be absolutely crucial for these drivers. I believe it's one of the longest on the calendar. Might only be Mexico with that ridiculously long run down towards turn 1 that has a longer one. So it's going to be important that you do get a good start. A reminder for people who might not be familiar here with the layout of WOR, but it's going to be a 50% distance race. However, it's full qualifying, so 20 drivers coming in. We're expecting, even though we've got 20 in the lobby, we are expecting there to only be 18 taking part. Thomas Ronhaar might have got a fantastic victory last time out at Silverstone. He does have a qualifying ban, unfortunately. And Jake Benham, our reigning champion for at least one more night. He's the reigning champion here on WRPC. He is planning to do a last to first challenge, so bit of a difficult thing to do around this track, but he'll certainly give it its best go. And there's always that possibility. We don't see it too often in real life, but when it rains in Spain, it definitely does. When it rains, it pours, I think it's fair to say. That will definitely throw a bit of a mixture into the mix.
Oh yeah, rain doesn't muck about when it comes to Catalonia. When it rains, it absolutely chucks it down. So anything is absolutely possible. Just waiting for the lobby to. Oh, just as those words were leaving my mouth, I was just about to say we're waiting for the lobby to get underway, and then lobby host has hit the start button. So we'll be heading into full qualifying session into Q1 very, very shortly. As Luke says, not all 20 drivers will be taking part. Well, they can come out, but they're not allowed to set a lap time. Those that are serving either a qualifying ban or last to first, which we believe is just Benham and Ronhaar, the only 2 drivers that affects. Other people may opt to do a last to first. Brave if they're going to do that here at Catalonia.
Yeah, I think it's definitely is always a very brave thing to do. It's it's a track where the alternate strategy can work just because of the nature of the circuit, coming through on the soft tyres, getting stuck in the dirty air. This was always the circuit that people use as an example of dirty air being such a bad thing in Formula 1 over the last few years. And I think, again, no spoilers, but as we saw in today's race, these newer cars do tend to make things a bit easier. Although, talking a bit more about the track, it's gone through a few changes over the years. We mentioned the difference at turn 10. That fiddly chicane in the final sector, it's really difficult to gain any time through there, but it's so easy to either invalidate, just get it wrong, go flying over the curbs, and go spinning round. It's one of those corners that the drivers pretty much universally dislike.
Yep, add my name to that as well. I have been many a lap coming through that final turn. Not that I'm bitter at all, no. Again, you have no proof. So then, into Q1, ready for our drivers to get underway. That looks pretty dry out there at the moment. Everybody is... Oh, yes, we're seeing a few exploratory laps are going to be done on the Inters. We've seen this before. If people aren't expecting to use the intermediate tyres, then they may well burn them up. But again, we will be going through a lobby reset in between race and now. So burning up tyres is fairly irrelevant at this stage because everybody will get fresh air. Anyway, Thomas Ronhaar has retired from the session. As explained, he has got that quali ban. So he is not opting to come out and do any kind of cycle laps. First out onto the circuit is Jake Benham, our current champion in the Mercedes, coming out to do a cycle lap on the mediums. We'll see what he gets on the board.
Yeah, this is obviously more common to what you see in the real world, drivers doing cycle laps on the mediums. It does tend to be a league racing thing, doing a lap on the intermediates, just making sure that they haven't got any wheel issues. I think one man who will definitely be checking that is this one. Georges Dede did a commentary on him last night where his wheel decided to send him into the wall at Jeddah when he was in a very good position to win the race. So he'll certainly be making sure that he's set up and everything is okay. Now, being that lobby restart, parc fermé conditions don't really matter as much as they do in the real world. Obviously, once they go out in this first qualifying session, they're then only allowed to make changes to their front wing, tyre pressures and differential within the session. But if you want, you can go for a completely different setup in the race. So drivers it does give you the opportunity to go for something which is a bit more on the edge in qualifying, and then for a slightly safer setup when it comes to the race.
Absolutely true. Again, we've no idea which way the drivers are going to go in that regard. So we will see when we get there, as the McLaren just working his way through turns, where are you, 11, 12, and into that final session. Jake Bennett just winding up for his first lap of the session. Down the start-finish straight, medium tyres for his title lap in the Mercedes. Foot pressed down to the firewall. He's using a bit of ERS energy. Then down through the gears, down to 4, takes turn 1 nicely, runs over the apex at 2, and then sweeps through the long turn 3. You will see yellow flags pop up fairly. You can pretty much disregard them because that's just people finding space. Under the bridge, go down a couple of gears and then chucks it in through turn 4. Then into 5, one of the bigger braking zones here, but you don't get a lot of momentum from turn 4 to be able to use that. Then the non-existent turn 6, and then through 7 and 8. Again, that's another area that's very easy to get wrong, especially if you're following another car. Turn 9, get that one through. DRS open, all the way down. The relatively short run towards turn 10, as that's Modesto Mina getting out of the way in the sister McLaren. Turn 10, this is where we're expecting things to get rather hot and spicy, especially if you go sailing off into the runoff area there. Turn 12, not a great deal to talk about there. Now, this car is really all over the place for Jake. I suspect he's not going to do too many laps on this tyre. This is just kind of a bit of a feeler on how the car is feeling more than really trying to push the medium tyres. Through the final turn, what has he got on the board to open proceedings? It's a 1:16.1.
Yeah, 1:16.1, the first, I suppose you could argue, representative lap time. Definitely did a lot the most stable of Mercedes there, and being on a set of the medium tyres, such a close grid, it is going to be difficult for anyone to... You might be able to stick through in Q2 onto a set of medium tyres. I'll be very surprised if anyone can get into the top 10 qualifying on that set of mediums around here, unless we do see a lot of the drivers attempting it. And then it'll just be which of the drivers is really going to take that risk and see whether they can manage to make it through. Harvey Cohen making his debut then in the top tier. Done a couple of aces in the second tier here at WOR. They've also got their championship decider going on tonight between Drake Dempsey and Morgan Ball. Managed to get a pole position and a podium on his first race in Tier 2. If he can match that in Tier 1, we might just have a talent on our hands in Harvey Cohen, but he's now heading towards the finish line. What's it going to be for him in the Ferrari? Goes into second on a 1:16.4. Obviously, Alessio Di Capua and Georges Dede's time being very unrepresentative on a set of the intermediate tyres. Someone else who's going out on the mediums, Ryan Jacobs heading towards the finish line. Another driver trying to show what he can do in this top tier. 1:19.930 for him. And again, someone else who's making their debut, Marcus Towler, going very early on, going pretty aggressive here for a set of softs on his first lap. You don't see many drivers doing this.
No, that's a little bit more unusual. It could be that he's not interested in running the intermediate tyres. And again, just to show the real calibre of drivers we've got in this tier here at WOR, Jake Benham has parked it already. That is a surprise. Or has he binned it somewhere? Did he put that one in the... No, he parked it in the pits. Well, that is a surprise. He's confident enough that will get him through to Q2, 1:16.1. That was a good time, don't get me wrong, but that's But then again, bear in mind, we do have two drivers that aren't... Oh, Jake is doing last to first, isn't he? So that's why he's not too interested in what that time's going to be. Yes, fair point. So that's why he's not interested if he actually goes through to Q2 or not. It'd be odd for him to go through to Q2 if he was actually wanting to do the last to first thing going on. But yeah, the times you're seeing on the intermediates, that 1:27s, I could only hope to set those with soft tyres on. So, yeah, again, a great effort there from our drivers. Who's just coming over the line? Ryan Jacobs. He did a second lap on those mediums. That's fairly common as well. These medium tyres do need a couple of laps to get the real best out of them. 1:17.2 that the AlphaTauri has improved his time to. and everybody else is back in the pits. Well, Modesto Mina is just crawling around the final sector now, and the McLaren will be coming in. So at the moment, it was going to be a fairly quiet session.
Yeah, fairly quiet out on track. Pretty standard fare here in WOR with the first part of qualifying. Things quiet. Most of the drivers decided to stay in the pit lane. A few have gone out, obviously, on their intermediates and a few on mediums. It is Jake Benham fastest from Harvey Cohen, Ryan Jacobs, Modesto Mena, Alessio Di Capua and Georges Adair. I'll be extremely surprised if the order stays like that throughout the entire session. We have got Marcus Howler going out again on another set of the soft tyres. He did take it very easily on his first out lap, so whether he's chosen to stay with the same set or not, we'll have to wait and see. And it looks like Ryan Jacobs is just slowly taking it towards the pit lane. Harvey Cowan also did a second set on the mediums. It looks like he's going out a bit more, maybe just getting a bit of extra practice in here on those medium tyres. Can't really blame him for doing so, especially if he's got no intention of using this second set in the race.
That's it, isn't it? You may as well give it, get the practice laps out there. Get a feel for how your setup is. Maybe kind of push a little bit more, seeing what times you can set against those that have already been set. Obviously, right now, no one is going to be pushing to see what they can do. But even still, it's always best just to iron out those few little kinks that maybe any kind of inconsistencies, any kind of question marks you might have. You may as well get out there and turn the laps. Louis Welch is out there in the second AlphaTauri, as well as Tomek Pradic is just coming through turn 3, so he's looking to do battle. Nicholas Longue, the championship leader, is now ready to do battle. It's been a while since I've had the honour of talking about the mighty Frenchman, so very much looking forward to seeing what he can do. Obviously, quite a few names that I recognise from other parts as well. So really, that's another reason why I've been looking forward to it. To really get an opportunity to shout from the rooftops about the very best in the field. But at the moment, Jake Benham at the top of the tree, but that is going to change as time goes on. Harvey Cohen, just a 10th behind. He did improve on his medium time in the end with 3 laps on those tyres. But quite a few people now looking to do battle. I think Marcus Towler is going to be, unless he hits a lot of traffic. Whoa, Alessio Di Capua almost got caught out there as he was weaving to warm his tyres. He almost got in Marcus Towler's way just at the wrong time, but he did manage to weave out before the Haas was held up there. Who's Marcus Towler now going to catch up to? Oh, whoever it is, I better get on with it. This is going to be a little bit awkward. That's Longue. Yeah, he should be all right with that. So Marcus Towler then with his first push lap on the soft tyres. What does he get on the board? It's a 1:15.6. That's more towards what we would expect for the soft tyres. But again, people are going to be just keeping that little bit of reserve until we get to later in the quali.
Yeah, there will be. And obviously, as the track evolution goes on, we'll see that time come down, certainly, in Q2 and Q3. And I think we'll also see it drop down throughout this session. Now, the Padco, Lewis Welsh just making his way around that very fiddly, almost chicane that we see at turns number 7 and 8, throwing it into turn number 9. In a modern Formula 1 car, you can see just a slight lift, not really a challenge for the supreme levels of downforce that these cars put on at the moment. Lewis currently down in 19th in the championship, did get a podium though at the Portuguese Grand Prix, so he's enjoyed one Iberian track so far this season, and the layout kind of all the tracks in around there, Estoril, Portimao, Catalonia, all seem to have that similar vagueness to their shape, so whether that bears any good news for Lewis Welsh, we'll have to wait and see how he does in this session. He's coming towards the line in the AlphaTauri. Looks like it'll be good enough to go fastest. And yeah, puts 0.3 of a second on Marcus Towler at the moment. So now we're starting to see a few more of these drivers start to their first runs. Tomek Pradic, he's just backed off on his, so he'll be able to go again, as has Nicholas Longue. Neither of those two of the big championship contenders that we're going to see tonight, the big two that we're going to see in this qualifying session, with Alvaro Cavaton being at the actual Spanish Grand Prix and Thomas Ronha having a qualifying ban, yet to get a clean run in.
Indeed, but plenty of time for that to change. Georges Nader in the McLaren 1:15.504 on the soft tyres, puts him into second at the moment. Alessio Di Capua in the Williams now into fourth, with Louis Welch taking the top honours with a 1:15.2. Luke Smith, wrong name. Luke Smith, getting that one in. Luke's had a a bit of a mixed season. It's kind of steady in the top 5. A bit of a slower start to the season. Got second at Canada in round 6. And fourth, and then, well, he's had 3 fourths since then, but not yet seen the podium again. Didn't score points last time out at Silverstone. He's out of the championship running, but still could look to do well here nonetheless. Carter Lundy has got a time on the board in the Alpine of 15.7. Now you're starting to see what the soft tyres are capable of. Everybody's on the soft tyres now, so no more of the inters being run. Tomek Paragic, the youngster, is there ready to do battle. The young Pole, just what is he's not even a hundredths behind Luke Smith. Longe up into third with 1:15.267. So the top 3 drivers all in the same tenth of a second.
Yeah, fantastically. All within a blink of an eye, those top 3 at the moment. And in fact, Lewis Welsh as well, just over a tenth of a second behind Luke Smith. So things looking good for the Alfa Romeos at the moment. If we head down to the Constructors' Championship, 49 points between Alfa Romeo and Williams, so that's another one to keep an eye on. It is possible if Alfa Romeo outscore Williams, which they're going to do with both of them being there, and also only one Aston Martin. Looking pretty good for the Alfa Romeo, the Hindwell-based squad, of course, formerly known as Sauber, to take the championship here in Tier 1. Brendan Lee, 2 times esports champion with Mercedes. Now, of course, with the Ferrari squad, let's see what he can do, as he's going to be the last driver to set a time in this qualifying session. Comes towards the finish line. It's a very good time indeed. Another driver to get into the 1:15.2s, just proving how close things are at the moment. 13 drivers separated by half a second. It's Jake Benham and Thomas Ronhar we know will be going out of this session. And at the moment, they'll be joined by Harvey Cohen, Ryan Jacobs and Duncan Hoffland, who's still yet to get a clean run in. It doesn't look like this is going to be lap. It's going to be one-shot qualifying for the Dutchman, perhaps.
Could well be. We will see. Again, some people may just opt to not continue, not to push on in the quality session. Luke Smith has actually opted to park the car. A little surprising. Yeah, Duncan Hoffland's brought that car in, so he's not choosing to continue on those tyres. He does have time to reshoe the car and get back out there. Ryan Jacobs has done a couple of laps on these tyres already, so I'm assuming then that he's invalidated his previous attempts. Is he going to go again? He can't. His fuel tank is dry, so he'll be wandering back to the pits to get some fresh juice in the car. What about Harvey Cohen coming through turn 12? Is he going to set this lap? Well, he's burnt his ERS down to 50%, so that would indicate that he is really pressing on. Nicholas Longe has decided to park the car with a 15.2. That is probably not a bad idea. Harvey Cohen over the line. Does he improve? He does. A 1:15.535, 3 thousandths off the back of Alessio Di Capo, and matched to the 1,000th to Modesto Mina. So very, very close. Again, another 4 drivers in the 15.5s at the moment. Yeah, fantastic. This is why these are some of the best in PCF1.
I mean, I remember when gaps like this used to surprise us, and we used to get excited. Now we're like, oh yeah, 6 thousandths of a second. That's a giant chasm. You could fit plenty of cars in a gap like that nowadays. As you can see with Di Capo, Cohen and Maynard all separated by 3 thousandths of a second. And I think you are going to have to be somewhere around that. Maybe 1:15.5, possibly into the 1:15.4s, just to feel safe in this session. Paradic and Louis Welsh and Lenny Papinta clearly not feeling too safe. Interesting that the Mercedes man has decided to head out there. Thomas Paradic, of course, in real life affiliated with Veloci, affiliated with the McLaren Shadow Squad. Interesting that he clearly doesn't feel that safe, and also interesting that Ika Baena on a 1:15.471 seems to think he's done enough. That he could very easily end up with egg on his face at his home Grand Prix here.
That's... I reckon Ika Baena's all right. I think you just about managed. He'll be close. But bearing in mind that 2 of the falling 5 have already been decided, I think you'll be all right with that. But we will see. I wouldn't be the first time I've been proven wrong with such a prediction. But yeah, I'm a little surprised that Tomek has chosen to come back out again. It's, again, looking to just rack up a bit of practice maybe. Brendan Lee has parked the car, so yeah, I think 15.2 is a perfectly comfortable time to get through to the next session. Bear in mind, it is a full quality structure that we're running, so all 3 quality sessions we will see. So yeah, that's why I'm a little surprised to see Tomek Press. Actually, almost everybody is back out on circuit, except for Cohen and Mina for some reason. So they haven't come out. Oh, well, no, Modesto Mina has now come out. It's of course going to make for a very, very busy circuit with not a lot of time left. So it is do or die, all or nothing for some of our drivers. Duncan Hofflin has started his last time lap along with DeCapua, Towler, Brown. So we haven't mentioned Leroy Brown so far. He's in 14th at the moment. He's getting a little close to the drop zone at the moment, along with Carter Lundy, the Canadian. Yeah, there's going to be a fair amount of chopping and changing going on.
Yeah, there is, and this is why I said Baena might not be the safest time at the moment. Leroy Brown has found 0.2 of a second in Sector 1 alone. Even if he just maintains and holds that gap throughout the rest of the lap, he will manage to put himself further up the order. We have got someone in the chat asking where is Jake Benham. We can see him there down in 17th at the moment. He's doing a last to first as Leroy Brown just runs wide, just invalidates through that tricky 7-8 complex. So we're not going to see any improvements from him. Ryan Jacobs has left the session. Obviously, he's given up. He knows that he can't improve too much, and that might just be what saves Baena's bacon in this session. Marcus Towler, mistake in the final sector, unable to improve. We're not seeing the times that we would have expected to see here. Duncan Hoffland, he's yet to do a proper lap in anger in this session. So what can the VSR man, another person who got through on the PS Challengers side, do? Goes into 7th place on a 1:15.491, slots in just behind his teammate, and that will be his final run. We'll have to wait and see whether that is going to be safe for him. We've had Carter Lundy shoot himself up into 7th place. Now, Georges Adair is retired from the session in 12th, so maybe thinking that he's done enough, or maybe just made a mistake on his one. Here comes Dylan Warren. I think he's going to be the first driver to finish his lap time.
Well, checker flag will now fall on this session. There it is, and Dylan Warren playing with fire there. 1:15.598 sees him into 15th. Just Marcus Towler and Leroy Brown behind. Where are they? Marcus Towler is backed off, so he can do no more. What about Leroy? He is coming up to turn 8 in the Alpine. I'll keep an eye on him. Parajit, as I assume he's brought that. Oh, what's going on?
Leroy Brown had a massive moment. Sorry to interrupt, Chris. Leroy had a huge slide coming through turn number 9 there.
Not going to help him. 1:15.663 needs to find what's about 7/8 hundredths of a second to get him out of the drop zone at the moment. Can he do it? Last couple of turns now. He's got a Haas coming up ahead of him. I'm assuming whoever that is going to come into the pits. Yes, they do. And no, Leroy Brown has pitted it. Oh, Dylan Warren, you lucky boy. He's just going to squeak through. So our dropping 5 have now been decided.
Yeah, the 5 out of this session there. You can see Marcus Towler, Leroy Brown, Jake Benham, Ryan Jacobs and Thomas Ronhar. They are going to be the 5 out of that session. Luke Smith fast enough with his first lap, which always gives you a nice bit of confidence when you manage to do that. Tomek Procic in 2nd, Nicholas Longe in 3rd place. Obviously, that only determines how things are going in this session. We'll have to wait and see what they can do in the next qualifying. Again, incredibly close. We ended up there with 7 drivers within a 10th of a second. Not bad whatsoever. I'd certainly take that in about half an hour's time at the end of Q3.
Yeah, DeCapua and Brendan Lee matched to the 1,000th as well. It's not the first time in this session that we saw that. So, yeah, this is going to get very, very spicy. This is just the first quality session, so expect this really close performance to continue, as the last couple of cars just need to retire the cars. So I think it's Carter Lundy and Modesto Mina need to retire their cars so that the quality session will deem to be done, or 1 minute time it'll be done for them. So yeah, it'll then be on to Q2, where another 5 will fall by the wayside before we do the... Well, there we go. Just I was mentioning that. Luke Smith at the top of the tree by 6,000ths of a second ahead of Tomek Procic, and then Nicholas Longe and Lenny Pepinte, hopefully pronouncing that correctly, apologies if not, is currently French 3 and 4 with DeCapua, Lee, Lundy, Welch, Noodijk and Cohen in the top 10. We lose Marcus Towler, Leroy Brown, Jake Benham, Ryan Jacobs and Thomas Ronhar. Benham and Ronhar we knew were going to take no further part. But they are the 5 that fall. And on to Q2 to see who lines up next.
Yeah, on to Q2. It's going to be a fascinating session, I think, with that one. A few drivers maybe just getting away by the skin of their teeth in that session. I mean, Duncan Hoffland left it very late. Dylan Warren not finding a massive improvement. 2 laps in a row, Leroy Brown was flying through Sector 1, about 2-3 3 tenths of a sec, 2 or 3 tenths of a second up, coming through the first sector. Both times just made mistakes. Firstly invalidated through 7 and 8, and then a massive slide through turn number 9. I'm going to be honest, if it was me, I'd have definitely, I think, binned it in the wall and been completely out of that qualifying session.
Yep, I would have certainly detached some wheels. It would have gone wrong. I can tell you exactly where it would have gone wrong. I would have, for myself, I would have invalidated every single lap on the final turn or on the penultimate chicane. It's always where Catalonia bites me. So yeah, that's where it would have definitely gone wrong. Tomek Paragic straight out there. Struth, the Polish driver, not wanting to waste any kind of time. Again, he's within a win of Nicholas Longay's current points haul. So Paragic is, again, just straight out there and straight into business.
Yeah, you can see the standings there that have been pinned up. Longay on 153, Carrington 134, Paragic 130, and Monha 119. So Tomek knows he takes the victory tonight. He's still in this championship hunt going into the final race, and probably in a pretty good place in the championship hunt. 16 points behind, definitely not an unsurmountable gap. Everyone heading there out on track. Again, we're probably going to get a mixture of medium and soft tyres at the start of this session. Don't be surprised if some of those are a scrubbed set of softs that they've done a lap in earlier on, wanting to leave any potential fresher sets to possibly give themselves multiple runs, of course, in that final session. 1:15.2 was the fastest time that we saw in Q1. 1:15.5 was good enough to get you through. I think you might need a 1:15.3 here to... Even a 1:15.3 might not be good enough. I think a 1:15.2 again, I'd expect, would just about keep you safe.
Yep, I'd go with that. I'd say 15.3 is going to be the minimum. Oh, trouble for Modesto Mina. He's had some kind of connection issue and he has left the session. So at least this happened at the beginning of Q2. So hopefully for him, he's able to rejoin as quickly as he can. It's Tomek Paragic, as mentioned, first one out of the pits in this session. So in the Mercedes, that was Lenny Pipente that was coming out of the pits then, but not in his way. Just Joost Noordijk and Duncan Hofland on the mediums at the moment, but don't expect them to stay on those tyres for too long, as Paragic, even on the soft tyres, the Mercedes getting very, very squiggly coming through turn 3. So, he's fighting that car quite hard at the moment.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of drivers looking like they're losing the car on the rear. Spain more known to be a front limited circuit. There are a lot of long and fast right-handers around here. Turn number 1, turn number 3 as well, coming up to turn number 9. Paragic has invalidated another quick corner that puts a lot of pressure on that front left tyre. So if you do see any punctures in the race, if you do see any tyre that the drivers have to try to manage throughout a race distance, it is that one. And maybe perhaps knowing that, that's why we're seeing the cars a bit light on the rear end at the moment. Just try to generate a bit more oversteer in a way to almost take the pressure off those front tyres. But Paragic has invalidated his out lap and his main lap here. And we've also seen Cartalondi do that as well. Joost Noordijk just behind. He's going clean at the moment. You wouldn't expect this to really be too much of a fantastic lap on the mediums. Anything in the 1:15s would be a superb time. More likely we are going to see something in the high 15s, low 16s, and there we go, 1:16.045, the fastest lap for Joost Noordijk. We are going to see that get beaten pretty early on, as Luke Smith just goes to start an out lap at the moment. Well, his hot lap at the moment. Duncan Hofland comes around the final corner. What can he do on the mediums? There we go, 1:15.892. I think just showing how this track has evolved, obviously, from Q1, where Jake Benham did a very respectable at the time. 1:16.1 to get through. We've got an Alpha Tauri just making his way towards the finish line now. That's Lewis Welsh. He invalidated on that lap. Those on the soft tyres, not exactly finding it easy at the moment.
No, indeed. Ikebania getting very much out of the way and even having a spin on the outside of turn 3 as to try and get out of the way of those on a hot lap at the moment. Yeah, Louis Welch, I'm pretty sure he invalidated his last time lap, so he's on a second one on those soft tyres, but he's running his fuel tank pretty dry, as is, along with his ERS at the moment. He's just coming through turn 5, so we'll see if he continues to set this one. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. I wouldn't be surprised if he just parks that one back into the pits. De Capua in the Williams is coming through turn 10. He is on his out lap. Has he got someone coming up behind him? Yes, he does. That is Lenny Pipente. Pepinte. I will get that right. So again, apologies for getting that wrong. Oh, the Haas again getting a bit squiggly coming through 12. Now through the last few turns, he's got a Red Bull already ahead. Can't quite see who. And that's back into the pits then for the Haas. No time set there. Who else is on a time? George's Nader is on a time as well. Purple Sector 2, but of course that's it. Purple time is going to change hands quite a few times. I would imagine George is going to bring this one in. Let's see what he does through the last few turns. Penultimate turn. Does he beeline for the pits? He does. Thought he would. Seeing what the McLaren's capable of. 9.5 minutes to go of this second qualifying session.
Yeah, 9.5 minutes to go, and still only the two VSR drivers of Duncan Hoffland and Joost Noordijk that have set a time, and both of them doing it on a set of the mediums. As again, Ikabayena really throwing that Red Bull around turns number 7 and 8, and he is actually invalidated just on the exit of that corner. Those on the soft tyres are finding things pretty hard at the moment. Can only imagine it's getting pretty hot out there, and maybe the rear tyres have just started to struggle in this qualifying pace. Harvey Cohen again, another one that has invalidated in this session. 9 minutes to go. We don't know whether the drivers were on an old set of the soft tyres. I think for these next runs, we can safely assume that they all are going to be on a nice, fresh set of the softs. Alessio De Capua, he looks as though he's heading towards the pits as well, not pushing at all. So have we got anyone heading on to... Well, we have got someone heading onto a hot lap. We've got our championship leader, Nicolas Longue. He knows if he takes the victory tonight, he wins the championship no matter what. If he finishes outside the top 6, we will certainly be going on to a battle in Brazil to decide who will take Jake Benham's crown as the champion here on PCs. Oh, Cartalundi disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane. That's a nightmare for the Canadian.
Yeah, now what's happened there is they were very slow coming out of the pit lane. So Lenny Pipente has also fallen foul of exactly the same thing. Now, that is a very unfortunate thing. What they were trying to do, I think, I wasn't on board with them when that happened, but I would imagine what they were trying to do was stay out of the way of those coming through to start a lap. But sadly, the game has deemed that they were too slow leaving the pit lane. So that is 2 more that have automatically been decided for the bottom 5. So, that's never how you want the session to go. As, Louis Welch has stopped on the exit of turn 10. He's waiting for De Capua to come past. That's why he stopped at that particular point. So, yeah, a bit of an odd one there. I wasn't expecting Louis Welch to be stationary there.
Yeah, I don't think, ideally, you don't see anyone stationary at this point in qualifying. We've still got 7.5 minutes to go, though. Plenty of time for drivers to get another one in. Nico Longue goes into second place with Ika Baena doing a 1:15.559. Interestingly, that was on his second lap on a set of the soft tyres, so not really what you'd ideally want to be doing. And here comes Joost Noordijk. He's just making his way around turn number 5. It is a possibility to say overtakes around that corner if you are feeling extremely brave indeed. The Aston Martin then making his way up the hill now through turn number 9. Seeing this corner cause a lot of troubles for a lot of drivers today. And there goes another one. Joost Noordijk into the wall. Big hit there. Lucky perhaps not to lose a rear wheel. I'll be surprised if he's got away without any damage.
Oh dear, oh dear. That just... the rears just looked at him and said, "You're having a laugh, sir." And round she went. So Joost is going to have to limp that one back because he did clout the wall backwards quite hard there. And limping is exactly what he's doing. He still has enough time on the table. Can't actually see how much time is left. I'm fairly sure we still have enough left for him to come in and get reshot. And he's certainly limping around. So hopefully the issues with the car can be ironed out. Louis Welch, no, you've invalidated your lap at some point. Just catching to the back of Nicolas Longue, having set his time. Who is out there? Luke Smith, no, you've invalidated as well. George Nader coming to the end of his lap on the medium tyres. The McLaren looking to continue with this one. Currently 6th in at 10th with no time set. What can he get on the board? That is 5th. Well, they were 15.882. Half a second behind him. Modesto Mina, bear in mind he disconnected from the session earlier on with a 15.546 on the soft tyres. Tomek Peragic, that... Did you set your time on it? He did. He set that time on the mediums earlier, didn't he? That's a really strong time on the medium tyres for the Mercedes runner. Very nicely done. Now, they are, of course, looking to just kind of get what they need to get done because we're not looking at part firming conditions. Normally, the tyres you set in the time you set in this session would dictate what tyres you run. Not sure if that's being enforced, but we're not following pathfinder conditions because we have to rehost the lobby when we get towards race time. Who else is still on a level? Louis Welch is still rotating out there. Dylan Warren has just come over the line in the Williams 1:15.929. 3 laps on the medium tyres. As Luke Smith has disconnected from the session. Joost Noordijk at the top of the tree with a 15.2. Now that's more what we saw in Q1. But 4.5 minutes to go now. It's not going to be long before we see what I refer to as the Banzai phase, which is everybody coming back out to see how they can improve their time and leave it as late as possible to get the best track evolution.
Yeah, I think they're all just looking at each other at the moment. We're into sort of that Mexican standoff here. Everyone thinking, if you go onto a set of soft tyres, and I've got to go onto a set of soft tyres. But they all obviously do want to be on the set of mediums. And like Chris said, even though we haven't got parc fermé conditions, they've still got to use the same type of tyre that they qualify on. So the top 10, if you get through to the top 10 on a set of softs, you'll have a fresh set of softs for the start of the race. If you go through to the top 10 on a set of mediums, you'll be starting on a fresh set of the medium tyres. I think anyone who's not in the top 10 wouldn't surprise me if we have uniform yellow Pirelli tyres on all of those cars. Lewis Welch just heading back to the pit lane. It is Joost Noordijk fastest at the moment. Maybe the only man who can even have a whiff of confidence about making his way through to the final part of qualifying. We've already lost Cartolondi and Lenny Papinza trying to do the right thing in this session and just getting caught out with the disqualification. Luke Smith, Brendan Lee and Harvey Cohen currently still in that bottom places because they have yet to set a time. And Mr. Lee is still going out on a set of the medium tyres. So we've seen Pratchett do a very, very quick time on a set of those mediums, a 1:15.692. We'll have to wait another couple of minutes to see whether Lee can match that one. And we'll have to see whether anyone else does go for the softs. Because if they do, if we see a glut of drivers go for the soft tyres, Lee might be in trouble here.
We'll see, but he's done it before where he's aimed to start 11th. But in a situation where the lobby resets, I'm not too sure what you gain by doing that. But he's a double champion for a reason. Joost Noordijk has parked the car with a 15.2. I would say that is as safe as you're going to get, I would think. Now, as you were saying earlier, Luke, I would say that 15.3 is the minimum you need to be aiming for to be anywhere near safe. But with a field as talented as this, the word safe is very, very open for debate. As the Bracknell-based Brit then starts his potentially final time lap of the session. I think we're coming to the last few minutes now. If the yellow banner would disappear, we would be able to confirm that. Yep, I just saw that, just under 3 minutes remaining. Brendan Lee, turn 1, turn 2, taken with no fuss. Turn 3, does the Ferrari misbehave on the exit? Well, a little bit. He's going to... I wondered if he was thinking about trying to pick up a tiny bit of slipstream from the back of Ika Baena. Didn't go for it. Turn 4, lets the car wander over to the left-hand side. Duncan Hoffland nicely parked off the racing line to not interrupt the quality lap still being concluded. Turn 5, nothing there. Turn 6, nothing to worry about. Turn 7 and 8, tricky little beats to get the right times. And nicely done riding the green off area as much as you dare. Turn 9, again, nicely done. That's where Duncan Hoffland got it all wrong before. Break-ins over turn 10, hit the brakes at the 100-metre board or thereabouts. Down to, well, 4th, I would have thought 3rd, but 4th for Brendan Lee. Now into turn 12. Gets someone nicely done, wanders over to the left-hand side, sweeps through, kisses the apex at 13. He's got a McLaren a little bit ahead of him, but not close enough to disrupt what he's going to do. What can the first ever esports champion do on this set? It is a 1:15.661. Is that going to be enough? It all depends, as you said, Luke, how many people are going to be switching over to the soft tyres. That may not be enough.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Smith and Cohen obviously still yet to do any laps. We'll see what they can do on the soft tyres. Dylan Warren going for a set of softs on this occasion, as is Georges Adair. And he's already found a 10 and a bit in Sector 1, which is what you would expect. Joost Noordijk, the only driver who's felt confident enough to retire from the session at the moment. Longe's done a couple of laps on his set of the soft tyres, and I'm not sure he's going to have enough life in them maybe to set a good lap here. We'll follow the current championship leader, starting outside the top 10. Would not be ideal whatsoever. Another one struggling with turn number 9. Longe, we'll see what his time is at the moment. He's still up by 0.125 seconds, so it's going to be a tight one for Nico Longe to see whether he can get through to the next part of qualifying. All those cars on the mediums might just save the Frenchman's bacon at the moment. Coming through this very fiddly final part of the lap. 13, 14 and 15 to finish off the lap. What can Nico Longuet do? Heads around the final corner, planted his foot on the throttle, and it is going to be a 1:15.516. Gets him into second place. He's the first man to cross the line, beaten just by Georges Dede. Brendan Lee could not improve on that second run. Modesto Mena heads his way into the pits. We've got one of the Red Bulls coming around as well. That is Ika Baena. He looks as though he's on a much better lap this time. And he goes fastest of everyone on a 1:15.189. Lewis Walsh is outside the drop zone at the moment. And he's invalidated. So he's another driver that we know will certainly not be making it to the next part of qualifying. Duncan Hoffland. He is also invalidated. Just behind him, he has got one of the Alpine cars. And that can only be... He's got a Williams, I should say. Sorry, and that is Dylan Warren. And he's also not improving.
So Dylan Warren in 10th. Louis Walsh could not get himself out of the drop zone. 1:15.973, the best he could do in that session. He is in 11th. He will take no further part. Luke Smith, where are you? Just coming to the end of your lap. What can you do at this stage? Through the final turn. Into the pits comes Dylan Warren. And that's a 15 flat from Luke Smith. That pushes Dylan Warren out of the following session. What about Harvey Cohen? Can he get out? Yes! By the skin of his teeth. That is a 1:15.740. Oh, blimey. Well, we were a little bit, probably a bit too optimistic in our guess there with a 15.3 being safe. But as it turned out, it was a 15.7. But, Harvey Cohen leaving that to the absolute death of the session. Now that pushes Duncan Hoffland now down into the drop zone.
Yeah, some big news that De Capua, Lee and Paracic all managed to get through into the top 10 on a set of the medium tyres. They are on the optimum strategy. Harvey Cohen leaving it late on his set of softs, but he will on his debut manage to start in the top 10. He'll be delighted with that one. Duncan Hoffland just missing out. You can just see his pit garage there. 11th place. Traditionally, a very good place to start on a Formula 1 game. Would not write off Duncan for a good result yet. But Luke Smith was fastest in that session from Ika Baena. I think a lot of those faster drivers obviously choosing to go on a set of the medium tyres in that session. Nico Longuet not really having the pace that we may have expected him to have. You can see there, Smith fastest, Baena, Joost Noordijk were your top three. But the big news, Duncan Hoffland, Dylan Warren, Lewis Welsh and Cartolondi, Lenny Papinta all failing to make it through into Q3.
Oh dear, oh dear. Well, that is a bit of a surprise with the pace that we saw certainly in Q1 from Louis in particular. I'm very surprised to see that, but I mean, who knows? We might be seeing rain in the race. We've no idea whether no one knows what the weather is doing, as we say, because we have to rehost the lobbies, so we don't know what the weather is doing. But yes, that's going to put De Capua, Lee, and Paracic on the medium tyres. That's going to be great fun to see. They certainly have the pace to hang on to the top positions, who will potentially be starting on the softs, but we still have one more quali session to go.
Yeah, still one more qualifying session to go. This is where the creme de la creme rise to the top. Of course, the final 12 minutes of qualifying here in the penultimate round of WOR Season 12. You can see some of the drivers that have done fantastically there over the years. Jake Benham winning here in Season 9 on the Xbox platform. He's going to have a job to do. We're doing a last to first today, but I think we're getting to that point now towards the end of the game where a lot of the drivers are just having a bit of fun, just starting to enjoy themselves around here. So we head into the final part of qualifying, and again, Tomek not hanging around. Again, he wants to get out there early. This could well be, well, this might actually be 2 runs on a fresh set of soft tyres, because I don't believe he used any during the second part of qualifying.
That just goes to show how good he is as Tomek Paracic overtakes Alessio De Capua on the run out the pit lane. The Williams just biding his time at the moment. Well, we'll see if that turns up. I think Brendan Lee very quick to get out and get on with it in the Ferrari as well. So we'll see how he is able to perform in the third and final qualifying session. Alessio De Capua seems to have forgotten how to shift gear. He's revving the life out of his engine. Maybe just doing a single run. Even running around in first, you'll make it back quick enough. Oh, look at Brendan Lee. He's having race simulation practice. He's just flown past Tomek Paracic on the run through 7 and 8. Goodness me, the Brit is meaning business, but that's actually going to give Tomek Paracic, if he wants to hang on to the back of Brendan Lee, he's got a potential slipstream there. But Is this track an ideal one? I mean, you want the slipstream down the main straight, yes. Now Brendan Lee is backed off a little bit. So Tomek might want to try and stay in the tyre tracks of the Ferrari. No, he's backing off to give himself a little bit of space.
Yeah, I think it's that gentleman's agreement. Don't overtake someone on the qualifying lap. And after all that racing, Brendan Lee decides to dive his way back towards the pit. So it is going to be Tomek Pratchett's the first man to set a benchmark for everyone else in this final part of qualifying. Everyone, unsurprisingly, heading out there on a set of the soft tyres. Luke Smith leaving it a bit later. Harvey Cohen, another one. Perhaps Harvey going for that one run. No disrespect to him. Would not be expecting, from what we've seen, him to challenge for pole position. So maybe just going for that run in the middle and taking full advantage of a fresh track. So 21-4. Very decent first sector then from the winner, of course, of the PC Challenger Series. Expect to see him in the Pro Exhibition. Whether he'll get a seat in the F1 Pro Series on F1 2022 remains to be seen, of course. Just lighting the rears up ever so slightly as he comes through turn number 6. A bit tidier this time through 7 and 8, now that he's not fighting with a Ferrari. Nice and easy through turn number 9 as well. This is looking like a very respectable first run from Tomek Pratchett so far. This is the part of the circuit you've got to be very careful with the throttle control, very careful with the brakes. So easy to lock up, of course, these Formula 1 cars at the slower speeds when you haven't got the tremendous amounts of downforce from the front and rear wings pushing that car towards the ground. Bit of traffic ahead of one of the Alfa Romeos that should dive well out of the way. In fact, it's far enough ahead to not have an effect. And Tomek Pratchett heads towards the line. 1:14.959. First driver to get into the 1 minute 14s.
Very, very nice indeed. Ika Baena next down the road on a hot lap. So we'll see what he's able to do. Turn 12 is where he is. Alessio De Capo in the Williams right behind him. So we'll have the next 2 laps set very, very quickly indeed. 14.9. Good God, an inhumanely quick time from the Polish driver. And the Red Bull of Ika Baena getting very, very quickly coming through the final turn. What can the Red Bull get on the board? That's a 15.2. Not bad at all. Alessio De Capo, what can the Italian put on? A 1:15.199 on the board for him. Brendan Lee now back out on circuit, having sprinted around the circuit in his first outlap and then brought it back into the pits again. Who's going to be next, I wonder? Joost, you've invalidated. Luke Smith is just coming through turn 5. Next is going to be... George Nadea had invalidated. I think the next one's actually Modesto Mina in the next McLaren. Here he comes, final turn. DRS open on the start-finish straight. What can he get on board? A 1:15.317 was still very, very quick times. We've seen all night long. Nicholas Longe, a 15.078 for him. Tomek Pratchett still the only man in the 1:14 so far.
Yeah, still that time looking very good indeed. Brendan Lee just on his outlap. His teammate coming around, Harvey Cohen, to finish his first lap of the session. Just ahead of him, you've got Luke Smith. Can he sneak his way into the 1:14s? The race clutch driver slots into 4th place for now. Alfa Romeo still looking good, though, to take this Constructors' Championship victory. As Harvey Cohen, slowest of everyone that has set a time. Again, would not be surprised with that gap, 7/10 of a second, if that was on a slightly scrubbed set of tyres. But Brendan Lee, 21.5 through the first sector. Very good indeed. Just maybe a tad wider than you'd like to be through turn number 4, but all nice and controlled from the Englishman, who obviously has done a lot of work on physical fitness over the last few months to get himself in the best shape possible. I think just trying to prove that you're physically in good shape, you're mentally in better shape as well. Just invalidated there, so might just be down to 1 run in this session. And Tomek Pratchett's fastest of everyone at the moment. Nicholas Longe won't be complaining too much if he can hang on to that 2nd place.
No, indeed. Longe's in the comfortable position of not having to win the race. Of course, everybody wants to take the W, but he knows he's got a sufficient point advantage. He doesn't have to do anything. He doesn't have to push too hard to defend his position up the top of the tree. Joost Noordijk of 15.324. He's set 2 laps on those soft tyres, so they're probably not got much left in them at this point. Harvey Cohen is... Where is he? He's just coming through into the pit lane. So Brendan Lee is... He's backed off, hasn't he? Yes, he has. So we saw him invalidate previously, but he's now really slowing down. That's going to put him into very much a one-lap wonder territory by the time he gets back round to the start-finish line, because he's running the risk of not having enough time to get in and get reshod before the checkered flag falls. It depends. If he really guns it now, he probably will do. But if he's going to just bide his time at this point, he's got very little fuel on board as well. So possibly gambling with the time left. But I mean, there isn't a track that he doesn't know so intricately well, as is all of our esports stars in this tier.
Yeah, they've all put so much time into this game, into the circuit, on a variety of games as well. They'll be used to, different breaking points, different conditions. They've pretty much done it all now. They're obviously supremely naturally talented. But let's not forget, these guys put a lot of work in to get as good as they are at the moment. Brendan's lap would have been good enough to put him into third place, but he just we're only one of the few drivers yet to set a time at the moment, alongside Georges Dede. But it is Tomek Pradacic fastest at the moment, Nicolas Longue second, Alessio De Capua in third, as we have a very quiet circuit here. 4 minutes 25 seconds remaining, the calm before the storm at Catalonia.
That's definitely it, isn't it? No sign of rain whatsoever. So it is burning hot and beautiful sunshine here at near Barcelona. And we will then... It's just a waiting game now. Who is going to be first to pull the trigger? And still a very quiet pit lane. I thought Alessio De Capua was moving them, but no, he's still in the box. Exactly. So I love your Mexican standoff analogy earlier, Luke. It's exactly what it is. Just everybody is saying, you go, no, you go, no, you go, no, you go. Everyone wants the track in the prime condition. I can see Ika Baena is his pit crew are just releasing the Red Bull. So it looks like he was first to pull the trigger. So the Red Bull is now underway for his final timed lap of Catalonia.
Yeah, Ika Baena heading out there on the circuit. The Spaniard enjoying his home crowd. And if it's anything like some of the wars we heard when Alonso and Carlos Sainz were out there on the circuit, sometimes say a home crowd can be worth a couple of tenths of a second. Doesn't need to find too much to get himself onto the front row of the grid. 0.3 behind Thomas Pradacic at the moment. Still the only man to get into the 1 minute 14s. And that is very impressive considering he was the first man out there, of course. Expect the track evolution to have a bit of an effect, as Baena doing what we saw De Capua do earlier. Not quite to the same levels that De Capua went to. Just trying to burn off a bit of fuel. Get the car as light as possible before heading around. And they've gone out early enough that if they make a mistake on this first run, as long as they've got enough fuel in the car, they might have a chance to put a second lap in.
Indeed. So just two drivers without a time on the board. Georges Nadea in the McLaren and Brendan Lee in the Ferrari. So the first one going to be sending a time is... Luke Smith's actually jumped ahead of the Red Bull. So now the race clutch driver, Luke Smith, in the Alfa Romeo, will be first to cross the line to get his final time lap underway. Harvey Cohen, the only man not on the field. Just as I say that, he's just left his pit lane. He's just left his pit box. So he'll be getting underway a little bit behind the field. What can Luke Smith do here then? 1:15.243 his time, currently fourth. And he's now leaving the final turn and starting his last timed run.
Yeah, Luke Smith then. This could be it then. The race clutch driver, what can he do? Can he send himself further up the order? Can he challenge his teammate? Could he possibly challenge for pole position? And the turn one bump, sometimes that gliding over the curbs can take her. And that time, it definitely did. Just running a bit too wide and really getting killed by the bump on the way into that corner. Georges Dede then, one of the two drivers alongside Brendan Lee, who has yet to set a time in this session. So what can the McLaren driver do? His first one, 21.516. Definitely one of the best times we've seen through that first sector at the moment. Just got Baena up ahead of him, who's backed off on this one. So clearly invalidated. And the purple time showing them on the track map. We'll have to wait and see how legitimate that purple time is by the end. But this is definitely looking tidy from George, who told me he'd not actually done too much practice. Judging by how he's doing at the moment, that might be a bit of a good thing if he's just driving a bit more on instinct. Tiny little wobble through turn number 9. Seems to have got away with that one. 49.726 as he comes around turn number 10. Let's just wait and see how this goes for Georges Dede. What sort of time is it going to be as he makes his way through the fiddly final sector of this lap? He's got his teammate just ahead of him of Modesto Mena. Shouldn't provide a distraction with the car effect, just maybe providing that little bit of a visual distraction when you least need it. George heads towards the line. In the end, he slots himself into fourth place and he's backed off. That is going to be his final lap in this session. Joost Noordijk then gets himself up into third.
Brendan Lee second, the other driver into the 14s now, on 14.971 for the Brits. So the pole time still sitting with the pole driver. That analogy had to be made at some point, and I've just done it. So De Capua yet to complete his time lap. Modesto Mena as well right behind him. And Harvey Cohen has invalidated his lap coming through turns 1 and 2. But Paratic pushed on nonetheless, a 14.815 to secure his pole spot. Still some time to be. No, De Capua has invalidated his time. He can no more in this session. But Modesto Mena and Harvey Cohen still pressing on.
Yeah, Harvey Cohen still going for it. Modesto Mena as well, about 0.06 of a second up on his personal best. So it's not going to send him a long way order up the grid at the moment, but we'll wait and see what Modesto Mena can do as he makes his way into the final part of the lap. His teammate's in 6th place. It's definitely possible that he can get in and around there, but I'm not sure there's anyone else at the moment really going for it and really able to maybe beat the time that Pradžič has set. Mena gets himself up to 5th place. A fantastic final sector for him. De Capua has done all he can. He's sort of finished off in 6th place. Luke Smith not setting the massive improvements that we would be expecting at the moment. He makes his way towards the finish line, goes up towards 4th place. A fantastic final sector from the Brit. Ika Baena, he's improving on this lap then. What can he do? The final sector seems to be where a lot of drivers are finding time, and Baena shoots himself up into 3rd place. Georges Nader has gone into the pits. Brendan Lee's backed off. Pradžič has backed off as well. So has Noordijk, and I imagine so has Longe. So that is it for this qualifying session, and it is Tomek Pradžič who takes pole position when he really needed it.
How close was that? Struth, fair play to the Polish driver Tomek Pradžič, 3rd in the championship, just 23 points behind Longe. He wants this to go down to the final, next time out in Brazil. And fair play, he's certainly got what it takes to put the fight to the Frenchman at the moment, as now Harvey Cohen bringing his Ferrari into the pits. Then a few more cars just to retire from the session, but wow, what an incredible performance. Just 2 drivers, one sub 115 being Pradžič and Brendan Lee. Wow, it's Nicolas Longe might have to work for this after all.
Yeah, he might. If they finish as they qualify, and that is a major if, that would not be enough to give Nicolas Longe the title, and things would go into the final round. And I believe he's actually got some real life racing to contend with next week. So could pretty much be now or never for Nico Longe. What a time by Pradžič. I think in the end his first time would have been good enough for pole position. Never mind his second. A brilliant job from him. You can see there Brendan Lee in 2nd place, Ika Baena in 3rd, Longe 4th, Luke Smith 5th. Still looking good for Alfa Romeo in the Constructors' Championship. Joost Noordijk in 6th, Modesto Mena 7th, and then De Capua, Nadir, Cohen rounding out the top 10 from what was a fascinating qualifying session.
Wasn't it just absolutely incredible? And what a great precursor to the race that we have now just experienced. Oh yeah, we thought this was going to be good coming into this race, and judging by the quality times, yeah, we are not going to be disappointed.
No, it looks like it. Like we said, it looks like it is going to be a brilliant job from what we've seen here. There will be a lobby restart now, of course, so that gives us a few minutes to talk about a few things, and we might as well talk about our sponsors while we're here, of course, who make all this possible. So make sure to check out SimStaff. They're giving away some copies of the F1 2022 Champions Edition, and for every 250 retweets that gets, they give out another copy. So definitely got to be in it to win it, and sharing it with your mates makes it a bit better for everyone. That competition ends at 5 p.m. GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, so 6 p.m. British Summer Time, 7 p.m. European Summertime on May the 29th. Let's also not forget to check out GridRival, who sponsor our WOR and also have their own fantasy F1 league. And judging by how mine went today, you can imagine with Charles Leclerc being in there, I was quite a bit annoyed partway through that race. And if you haven't seen the race, you might see why I was annoyed with that one. But Louis is definitely on it, so we shouldn't be too long before we can get this lobby underway. Pradžič looks on it.
God, didn't he just? And Pradžič in the last 4 rounds has won 2 of them. It's very much all or nothing. He's very much kind of emulating Max Verstappen's year this year. It's boom or bust. Now, Pradžič hasn't been in every single round this season. He's actually missed 5 of them. including Silverstone last time out. But of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds he's been in, he's won 3 and had another 2 podiums outside of that. So again, Paragic he's a very much a boom or bust driver in WOR this season. So again, you can't completely discount Thomas Ronhaar. He's got 3 wins under his belt. Of course, Nicholas Longuet leading the championship with 2 wins and another 5 podiums as well to his name. Yeah, this really could go in any direction, especially with Carrington not being here, Ronhaar starting from near the back. Yeah, this really could go any particular way.
Yeah, it could. I think you're going to be a brave person to call it. There's always the alternate strategy games as well. We've got a few of these drivers starting on a set of the medium tyres, and of course Pratchett is one of them. So he's going to be in a good position at the start of the race. But you've got Baena in 3rd place on a set of the softs. We've already said it's a long run down towards the first corner, so might give an opportunity for the Spaniard to lead his home race for a while.
Indeed. Looks like we're going to have hot and sunny weather again. So I am expecting, exactly as you said earlier, Luke, I'm expecting those at the top end to be on the softs and those from 11th backwards to be on the mediums, bar those, of course, that were inside Q3 with the medium tyres. So, but then there's always those 1 or 2 that want to throw the dice, standing towards the tail end on the soft tyres. So we will see who's going to be the bravest of the brave this time around. Just waiting for everybody to rejoin the session, and then we'll get this incredible 33-lap race underway.
Yeah, indeed. I'm certainly looking forward to it. I know you are as well, Chris. I think everyone at home will be. We've got Jake Benham going for the last to first challenge as well, and Thomas Ronhaar sort of with nothing to lose now. Down in, I believe he will be starting in 20th place because of that qualifying ban, so it's not going to quite be the last to first for Jake Benham, although I think 18th to first is not exactly a bad achievement, emulating Rubens Barrichello at the 2000 German Grand Prix. Ronhaar's just got to go for it. He knows to stay in the championship, he's got to beat Longuet by quite a few places. Even if he wins the race, that might be not enough to keep him in this. If he does win the race, it means we're in for an absolute thrilling 33 laps. So, just can drive with a bit of freedom, which is not something you can usually say about someone who's in a championship fight.
That's the thing, isn't it? Is that you still got to perform as and when you can. Yeah, there are those that will kind of think, okay, I've got a bit of time in hand. As I was saying earlier, the Nicolas Longuet with the points advantage. Sometimes taking your foot off the gas, he opens the door for a mistake to come in. So, yeah, they've still got to be on their game to get the necessary points they need. Even though Longuet doesn't have to win, he's still got to be focused and get the points he needs. Especially if there's a question mark of him not being here next week. Really needs to be taking top honours this time around. But like I said before, he hasn't won since round 4 back in Austria. So it's not completely in his court yet. But Nicolas Longuet still with the advantage. I say 19 points over Carrington, 23 over Paragic. But if the young Mercedes driver's got anything to do about it, that gap could well come down. Yeah,
he's looking very good at the moment. And again, Longuet starting on a set of the soft tyres could be very fast at the start of the race. Probably suboptimal a bit later on. And if it does go to the next round, it is going to be Brazil. And we've seen plenty of championship battles there. I believe all the drivers are now in the lobby, which is fantastic news, of course. We'll be seeing everyone going through their settings at the moment and just setting the grid up. Strategy-wise, on this game, we do usually see soft, medium, or medium soft. I'd be surprised, maybe Ronhaar might try it to just get himself further up the order, but I'd be surprised if we see too many cars outside the top 10 starting on the softs. I'd be very surprised if we see anyone starting on the hard tyres. You tend to avoid them like the plague.
Yeah, indeed. If you have to go onto the hard tyres, usually your race is done in a 50% race. Stranger things have happened, but it's very, very rare for anybody to make the hard tyres work in a 50% distance race. So, yeah, those that have an early instant tend to then be forced onto that strategy. But yeah, we'll see. We saw people having a few spins. We saw, as I say, with Nordyke backwards into the wall. That could happen to absolutely anybody.
Yeah, and as Immortal's saying, if drivers do have an issue, the hards aren't as bad around here because of how heavy it is on the tyres as they are around some circuits. You can make it work if you have to pit in the early stages. And if we see any safety cars, we've seen drivers getting pretty close together in qualifying with Liam Paradzic, and we also saw Joost Noordijk head towards the barrier in different circumstances. That could have been a big one. A lot of drivers have found this track tricky. A lot of drivers found it tricky with penalties as well and invalidations, so might be one of those races. If you keep it clean, you could have a brilliant chance of getting a podium, perhaps even the victory.
Yep, stranger things have happened. So it is all going to be down to the luck of the draw, and there will be some drivers relying on the misadventures of others. But put into chat who you're here to support. Who do you think is going to come out on top? Is it going to be Paradzic? Is Longe going to stand on the top step? Or is it going to be, again, another one of the very talented drivers in this tier, with Brendan Lee starting from the front row? Could well take top honours this time around. Brendan joined this season in round 11, was third last time out in Silverstone. So, again, he's been a real surge of form of late. So, let's see. What is he able to do here in Catalonia? We will see. As for my bet, it's going to be difficult to look away from Paradzic, so I'm going to put my vote on the poll.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's going to be a tough one. Do you know what? Seeing as you've gone for him, I think I'm going to go for Brendan Lee. He's in some good form at the moment, so we'll wait and see what he can do as we get the Spanish Grand Prix underway. Welcome here to the World Online Racing Spanish Grand Prix, the penultimate round of Season 12 on the PC platform. Round 15 out of 16. Could it be a championship winning round for Alfa Romeo? Could it be a championship winning round for Nicolas Longe at the Circuit de Catalunya? We're visiting this circuit for the first time since Season 9, where Jake Benham took his first ever WOR win after a last lap pass on CRG Pinecone. I wonder what happened to Jakey B after that one. 4.655 kilometres, 2.892 miles with 16 turns there and the 2 DRS straights, which means we could see plenty of overtaking around here, especially on the run down towards the first corner. There is the championship standings there, with Nico Longe leading at the moment. Alvaro Cabaton in second place is not here tonight, and you can see some of the previous winners there, some famous names across the Xbox platform doing their best work around here. And we've seen some fantastic racing action around this circuit as well. In the pre-season race, we had Matthew and Martin trying to make some moves coming through turn number 10. Expect to see some action through there at this part of the race. And it's always interesting to see where some of the drivers can make their moves. There was Shadow having a good job as well in the pre-season race right at the start of this game. CRL Martin making his move on the run down towards turn 1, perhaps the more conventional of the overtaking points. As we make our way into the race and see what tyres they're on, we have actually got a mix around here. We can see no one outside the top 10 on the soft tyres. Dylan Woman, Ryan Jacobs and Thomas Ronhaar, in fact, going long in this race. And if there's a safety car or something at just the right moment, that could well be the strategy to be. Those three drivers going to be lightning quick towards the end.
Curious one for Dylan Warren. I'm not entirely surprised that those at the very back have decided to throw the dice. You did call it, Luke, that Thomas Ronhaar has indeed gone for the heart. Curious one there for the Williams, but we will see how that is going to transpire. Louis Welch seemed to have hit somebody, so he's going to be very disadvantaged because his tyres are going to be freezing cold compared to everybody else around him. The Padman is going to have it all to do. Starting from 13th position as the field now getting back into AI control and reforming the grid for this penultimate round here for Season 12.
Yeah, penultimate round. Will it see the man just pulling into his grid slot now? Nicolas Longe in 4th position on the grid. What can he do? Watch out for Iker Baena and Luke Smith at the start of this race. Watch out for Jake Benham and some of these other drivers towards the end of it, of course, as all the drivers are lining up in place, and we wait for the lights to come on here at Catalonia. We've got 5 lights. Quite a long hold, but they go out, and we've got the Grand Prix underway then. And what are the starts like? Brendan Lee getting a pretty good run here alongside Tomac Paradzic, and also Nicolas Longe trying to get alongside Iker Baena, but it's the Mercedes and the Ferrari side by side coming through turns number 1, 2 and 3. And who's it going to be? It is Brendan Lee just coming out ahead now, but can Paradzic try and hold alongside? No, he can't on this occasion. Straight away thinks about attacking into turn number 4, but can't make that one work. Dylan Woman and Duncan Hoffland battling in the background on the different tyres. For a second, I thought Pradjic was going to send one down the inside into turn number 4, and that might have left him just vulnerable to Ika Baena, who's trying to use the base of those soft tyres. No way is he going to go down the inside into turn number 7. He's thinking about it. And fair play to Pradjic. They left him room at the entry, didn't leave him a lot of room on the exit. It looks like everyone has got through the first few corners cleanly, and Brendan Lee, with a lightning start, muscled his way through. He takes the lead of this race.
Yeah, so much squabbling going on further down the field. Jake Benham up 4 positions from where he started. Carter Lundy and Thomas Ronhard both up 3. Again, Ronhard on those harder tyres, really getting the start nailed. But Brendan Lee, straight alive. That was a cracking start. Pradjic gave him everything he could, but that was very much advantage Lee coming out of the block. So is the medium runner starting the way. Ika Baena, the lead soft runner, doesn't look like he's got too much of an answer at the moment. Again, we're only in the formative pass. Leroy Brown, oh no, we do have a casualty in the opening laps then. The Alpine has brought that one in. I'm assuming that is a front wing change. Yes, it is. That's going to be hard tyres shortly. Yep, sadly so. The Alpine's going to have a very long day, but he hasn't parked it. Fair play to Leroy Brown. He is going to continue on his merry way. Like you said earlier, Luke, if there is a safety car, that could swing back to his advantage. The Haas drivers at the tail end of the field, both side by side coming through turn 4, keeping themselves off the dust and having a great old argument. Pradjic doing what he can to stay on the back of Brendan Lee. That gap about half a second now between the Brit and the Pole. Ika Baena has got a great ringside seat for that, but look at that, everybody except for Leroy Brown just in the DRS train for when DRS becomes available next time around.
Yeah, this is the straight they'll be able to use it around next time around as we follow Lenny Papinta all over the back of his teammate. 2 DRS zones, the one down towards turn 1 is generally the more powerful one. If you are the car at the front of the race, you'll be hoping that it can build a bit of a gap. And to be honest, if you're around 6/7 of a second ahead at the start of the straight, you've normally got a good chance of holding on to the lead of this race. It is Brendan Lee, Tomek Pradjic, again Brendan, setting the fastest lap of the race, and 1:18.971. We do use a very similar point system here in WOR to what they use in real life. It is the same for the top 10. The only difference is you do not get a fastest lap point, so no one can really steal that one off anyone else. We are seeing some good moves at the moment. We believe it's just a visual glitch on Longay's car, and he is actually on a set of the soft tyres, not on a set of the mediums, because he did qualify in the top 10 on a set of the softs, I seem to remember. But I'm surprised we're not seeing Baena and a few more of these cars really being able to move their way up. It just shows how tough this track can be on the tyres, that already the mediums are able to hold their own.
Yeah, absolutely. The hard tyres runners haven't just fallen off into oblivion. So again, going back to the point that was made, that the medium tyres, the hard tyres, beg your pardon, are still a very, very viable option here at Catalunya. Is very much being proven. Ryan Jacobs, the tail end of the tree, is only 6 tenths off the back of Lenny Papinta. So again, doing a great job just hanging on to the pack, seeing how well that takes him. Brendan Lee hasn't been able to extend that gap. That's now almost under half a second as they come through the final few turns then. Of course, Brendan Lee gets on the gas a little bit early, using a bit of ERS energy to try and break away. And Tomek Pradjic doesn't have to do anything of the sort, just has to use the DRS to stay in contention of the Ferrari closing in. He's not going to be able to make a move from that far back. So Pradjic stays right with Brendan Lee at the moment. Ika Baena with the fastest lap at the moment, still on the soft tyres. He's got to make them work as he's wandered a bit too wide coming through turn 3. And interestingly, Ika Baena has used a bit more of his ERS energy than the two ahead. So those soft tyres, I don't think, are really working well for the Red Bull at all.
No, they're not really doing too fantastically at the moment. And in fact, what we're finding out, the visual glitch for Longay was the opposite of what we thought it was. He is on a set of mediums. He did qualify on a set of mediums. So apologies for that one. He's not in too bad of a place then. 4th place at the moment on that set of the mediums. I was wondering, as he goes a bit wide through turn number 9, where he didn't seem to have the best of pace in Q2 compared to the rest of the session. So definitely still one to keep up with in this race. Baena setting the fastest lap last time around, obviously getting the double toe and the double, the dose of the DRS. Generally, if you're about the 3rd car in the train, that is when you get the best slipstream. Those further back don't really gain too much, but we know how difficult it can be to overtake when you're the 3rd car in a train. And if you're someone else a bit lower down on the soft tyres, maybe Maynard, Nordyke, Nadir, Cohen, you might think about ditching it into the pits pretty early on, and possibly putting on that set of the hard tyres. As again, Tomek closes up to the back of Brendan Lee. And as we see quite often this early on in the race, no real interest in making the overtake.
No, everyone's just biding their time, although saying that, Louis Watch and Jake Benham having a big old argument. Oh, the Alpha Tauri getting very quickly coming through turn 2. The Mercedes on the inside line coming through 3. So Jake Benham trying to wrestle that position, but Louis Watch, the padman, having none of it. Now, those tyres are really only just going to be able to get up to operating temperature, bearing in mind that Benham had an impact of coming through... I think it was quite early in the rolling lap. I didn't actually see it take place, but he was disqualified from the rolling lap. So his tyres would not have been at optimal temperature when he began the race. So, yeah, he's having to really defend quite hard, well, much harder than he would like at this early stage. But Tomek Baradzic staying nailed to the back of Brendan Lee. Everyone is biding their time still at the moment, although Marcus Towler just gone past Dylan Warren. Towler is out of DRS range to Ronhart at the moment, but that could easily change in the time to come. Now, how quickly are the soft runners going to be coming in? That's also going to be a question. I would hazard a guess that the soft runners might push it to around about lap 10 before we see the soft starters come in. We will see, as Bradgett, same again, just staying right with Brendan Lee. They're not using an awful lot of ERS energy, the top guys. Carter Lundy's just jumped ahead of Harvey Cohen. It could be that Harvey's kind of burned the best out of those soft tyres now, although watching the Alpine coming through turn 2, that's still a very squiggly car. But it is so far just, everybody just maintaining where they are. No one's pushing too hard too quickly, but post pit stop, I can't imagine we're going to see an awful lot of that going on.
Yeah, I'm sure we've got a lot of experienced league racing viewers in the chat. You kind of know this is how things go in league racing at the moment. There's no point going all out at the start of the race when you've got heavy cars, when you've perhaps not got the tyres that you'll want to have on at the end of the race. Everyone's just taking it nice and easy, and then later on the chips will be down and we'll really see what all these drivers can do. Harvey Cowan has dropped down the field a couple of places, getting passed by De Capua on the previous lap, and Carter Lundy on the last one just doesn't quite seem to have the pace on those soft tyres at the moment, and he's just starting to drop down the field. Duncan Hoffland will be the next car looking to get ahead of him. Marcus Towler has got back onto this train, so it is still a 19-car DRS train at the moment. Poor Leroy Brown, the only one who's off the back of it, and perhaps not surprisingly, we are seeing Harvey Cowan dive his way into the pits then, as Tomek Bradshit again closes up to the back of Brendan Lee and decides nothing doing on this occasion. You can tell the fact that they're not pushing just when you look at the battery usage for all of these cars. Tomek hovering around the 90% point, and Brendan Lee hovering around 75%.
Indeed. Straightforward pit stop for Harvey Cohen. Hard tyres on, no front wing or anything like that. He'll come out comfortably ahead of Leroy Brown, who's, again, just trying to mind his own business at the tail of the field, following a new front wing for the Alpine at the end of lap 1. So he's pressing on about 62% with the battery of the Alpine as well. So I would imagine it was a bit earlier than I was thinking for the soft runners, but as we said, this track is not particularly kind of the soft tyres. Number of people. This is why we saw a number of people wanting to start on those medium compound tyres. So the soft runners, I was thinking around about lap 9, 10. I still think we're going to see a few more laps out of the remaining soft starters, but we will see. It wouldn't be the first time I've been wrong about a tyre prediction. Anybody else coming in? Not yet, no. The soft starters continuing on their merry way. I would think this train is probably going to carry on for another couple of laps yet.
Yeah, Duncan Hoffland setting the fastest lap of the race. I think just showing how much pace he's got in the middle to the back of this train at the moment in 11th place. Again, you won't gain a fastest lap point for that, but it's always nice to just get a bit of pride in this, just showing how they're taking it nice and standard at the moment, not pushing too hard, maybe just starting to get a bit frustrated if you are further down the train. Thomas Ronhard did some fantastic moves on the first lap of the race. As you can see there, he was the biggest winner, gaining 6 places in the early stages. Jake Benham gaining 5. Harvey Cowan, obviously, a bit unrepresentative as he has had a pit stop, as is Leroy Brown. He's the biggest loser at the moment, down 9 places. Dylan Warren also down 4, perhaps struggling on those hard tyres at the start of the race. Everyone has been very patient. You can tell that they've all done this before, and I am impressed at how well Baena and the other drivers that started on the softs are able to just keep those tyres in good shape at the moment, which, if they want to do a soft-medium strategy, this is what they need to do. Perhaps the wisest thing was not to go all guns blazing in the first couple of laps, because you've just burnt through the rubber, and once you start running out of control, you slide a bit more, the tyres overheat more, you start sliding any more, and then you're just in a vicious circle, and it is very difficult to get out of. But Baena, don't think I'll be too upset with how things are going at the moment. In third place on that set of the soft tyres. Definitely not under any pressure from behind. I think one of the cars who is under a bit of pressure, though, is Lewis Wells. Perhaps happy that he's in this DRS train. Him and Benham have got close together once already. But despite the fastest lap, nothing the reigning champion can do.
Marcus Towler has fallen out of DRS range to the pack ahead, so he might have to push a little bit more to get back into that particular train, just because of how long the DRS is open for, because it is open in 2 spots between turns 9 and 10 and all the way down the back straight, the start-finish straight, beg your pardon. The run from 9 to 10 isn't particularly long, but of course, losing DRS for the whole start-finish straight is not going to be comfortable, so I would think that the currently 15th place Haas of Marcus Towler will push a little bit more than he'd like. Yep, there we go. I'm checking his battery down to 11%. So he's pushing hard to try and get back into that DRS train. But the longer he's in it for, the more he's able to recharge that battery up again. So it may not be too bad, but he would have taken a little bit more out of his tyres than he would have liked to do that. Also, Dylan Warren, same problem. He's on the harder tyres, though. So you're burning life out of his tyres isn't going to be too much of a worry for him, or he's just going to run his own race at this particular stage. Of course, we don't know. As Georges Nader is into the pits, then he's going to be heading on to. Can the mediums go from that long? Well, let's see what the McLaren does. Is he going to be mediums or? So it's mediums. So that's probably the as long as you'd want to take those medium tires. I would have thought Haas would have been a kind of safety bet, but he's gone for mediums. We'll see how well that goes for him.
Yeah, I think clearly feeling, one of the final races towards the season, one of his first races on the PC platform, might actually be his first here at WOR, just waiting to see what he can do and just trying something a bit different. 24 laps is probably about the limit of what you want to take a set of the medium tyres. I've seen someone get up to 90+% tyre wear around here and avoid a puncture, but I've also seen drivers get a puncture after about 20 laps around this circuit, so you're always in the hands of the gods. Anything above 75% when it comes to tyre wear. The last few laps, De Capua was getting close to him, as has Benham been getting close to Lewis Welsh. Just can't quite do anything at the moment, but I think that pit stop from Georges Nader might just light the blue touch paper and might see a few more of those on the soft tyres. Smith, Maynard, Nordyke, and of course Ika Baena, who has got Longay in between himself and the rest of those runners, as on this occasion they're all just staying out that 1 lap longer. And Brendan Lee, a very controlled performance at the moment. What we do know about this circuit, the undercut is going to be supremely powerful, as I think this could be the time Bradshitch decides he's had enough of following him a train down the inside. The Mercedes retakes the race lead.
Now we're going to start to see a little bit more of a fight. Brendan Lee does not mind being overtaken at the better times. I don't think anybody does, quite frankly, but Brendan may push to regain that one, or Tomek is deciding, like you say, he's had enough of being stuck behind the Scarlet Ferrari and is going to press on a little bit. I would think, lap 10, or 10 laps done, lap 11 now, that's when we're going to see these soft runners decide to get rid of these and onto a set of medium boots. But fair play to them all. They've kept their tyres in pretty good shape to stay right with the medium runners. I think Tomek is really starting to press on now. There's the first of our track limit penalties. No league race is ever complete without a 3-second multiple warning penalty being put on, and that is to the padman Louis Welch in 11th position in the Red Bull. So that'll hurt at the moment. We'll see how that transpires towards the end of the race. Completion of lap 11 coming up then. Who of the soft runners is going to come in? That's where our attention currently sits. And also, will Brendan Lee press on to get that lead back? Baena is in. Modena is in. Nordyke is in. Luke Smith is not. He has opted to continue. Is that going to be a bit of a mistake? Is Brendan going to retake the lead? No, he opted to sit behind the Mercedes this time. So, yeah, interesting. I thought he would gun to have that one back, but he's opted to sit behind the Mercedes this time. And it's medium tyres for everybody that's come in. Pipenta is in as well. So that's all going to be medium tyres. I'm assuming the Frenchman. Yeah, there's a new wing for the Haas there. And Dylan Warren didn't want to be left out of the penalty application. He's earned his own one. New front wing for Lenny Pipenta. Interesting, he's gone on to hard tyres this time. That's because he would have started on the medium, so he had no choice. He had to go to hards. There's no way softs were going to last that long. And that's going to drop him into the clutches of Leroy Brown.
Yeah, so they're going to be pretty close towards this race. At least they're going to have each other to fight with. Maybe Leroy might come to pit towards the end. He's going to find things quite hard at the moment. We're on board with the only soft runner remaining then in this race. Luke Smith just going around on those set of soft tyres. He's seen Maynard, Baena, Nadir and Nordyke all coming off theirs, and in fact Nadir proving the power of the undercut, managing to jump Joost Nordyke there. So Luke Smith, he's had DRS for a bit longer. He might find himself in a bit of trouble, but he's going longer still. This might not be the worst idea. He knows, I think, that if he'd just gone one lap longer, he was certainly going to get done on the undercut, as I think this time Brendan Lee is going to decide to go back towards the lead of this race. Easy as I like on the run down towards turn 1. Brendan Lee takes the lead. Going back to my original point, I think Luke Smith's thinking, if I'd pitted on that lap, I'm going to get undercut by anyone. If I can stretch this out an extra 2 or 3 laps, I'm going to have fresher mediums at the end. I don't have to worry about punctures, and I might be able to make some moves.
The trouble Luke Smith's going to have is ERS management. He's down to 30% battery now, whereas all 3 ahead of him are in the low 80s, early 90s. So that's going to be difficult for him. Now, Ryan Jacobs now adding his name to the penalty board with a 3-second penalty. Nicholas Longo getting very squiggly, coming through turns 7 and 8 as he continues to stare at the top 2. I reckon Luke Smith has pushed that too long. I'm not convinced he should have pushed it another lap. I see what you're saying. He is trying to battle use the slipstream and the DRS of those cars ahead of him, but it's going to be really difficult for not impossible, but it's going to be difficult for him to rebuild all crucial ERS energy. So I reckon Luke Smith has put himself at a disadvantage. In he comes this time, tail end just not wanting to behave itself, coming through the final turn, as Brendan Lee now gets the lap times into the 17s, as that's going to be a set of medium tires. But where will Luke Smith reappear? Will I eat my words? Well, probably wouldn't be the first time. Let's see what he's able to do.
Yeah, he was leading the train behind Longay, so, and Baena would have been ahead of him. So we'll watch on board with Modesto Maynard here in the McLaren. We'll see where he comes out relative to Luke Smith. You should see an Alfa Romeo coming out of the pit lane very shortly. I think he is going to drop back behind Maynard. It's whether Georges Nadir can get a bit of a run on him as well, down towards the first corner. No, he's not. Maynard and Smith getting very close together. This pit exit just sort of can throw you out in a bit of an awkward place there. Luke Smith tried as he might, and Maynard clearly knew how important it was to set the fastest lap. Smith not losing as much as we might have thought in all of that one, staying in 15th place for now, a net third out of those that have come into the pits, as Lewis Wells gets another penalty, and Joost Nordyke almost thinking about one down the inside of Georges Nadir. They're fighting quite hard on the medium tyres. They definitely don't want to be holding themselves up though. This could cost them later on in the race.
Yeah, that's the danger, isn't it? They want to get out there and get on with it. The racing instinct is certainly there, but they do run the risk of slowing each other down. Medium runners, I'm expecting them to start looking towards the pit lane from around about lap 19, 20 or so. We will see probably a bit earlier than that, as I've started, of course, with a heavy car. Thomas Ronhart now into the top 10. Is he going to try and make a move on Jake Benham? No, he's going to stay there for the time being. So, yeah, don't discount the hard starters either. Very curious to see how they're going to go. There's still all of them staying in a DRS train. Dylan Warren and Ryan Jacobs just swapped round. They are a little bit behind the pack ahead of them. Marcus Towler actually pretty much in no man's land, 2 seconds behind the train ahead of him and 5.5 seconds ahead of Jacobs and Warren. So, yeah, those two hard starters, yeah, they're going to be a little bit out of position, I think, when the pit stop's complete. But I'm going to keep an eye on Thomas Ronhart. Is his alternate strategy really going to pay off? He's doing pretty well at the moment, and if he gets a safety car, he's laughing, I was going to say, as Jake Benham nearly bins it coming through turn 9.
Yeah, want to be the first driver we've seen have a massive moment through there. Generally in the race, perhaps again going for a bit more of a safer setup. We've seen drivers keep things just a bit more under control, but Jake Benham, already those medium tyres are probably just starting to the point where they're not feeling too great. You've got to stretch at least, I'd say, 6 more laps out of them, 19, possibly 20, as you said, Chris, before you can think about pitting onto a fresh set of the soft tyres. On board then with our championship leader, who's not quite doing enough at the moment. This would take, as things stand at the moment, this would take Ronhart out of contention. It would take Alvaro Cavaton, who's not here tonight, out of contention, but Tomek Bradzic would still have a chance of taking the championship at the last round of the season. As Dylan Warman comes into the pits, I can only imagine that is going to be for a set of the medium tyres. Clearly, this strategy not working as well as he would have wanted, and trying to get himself a bit of fresh air and just trying to try something different. What all the soft runners has done, of course, is it's just broken this train up. We've now got the front three we've got Alessio Di Capua 4 seconds behind them, just trying everything he can to catch up, but he's got to be careful with Lundy, Hoffland, Welsh, Benham and Ronhar right on his rear wing.
Yeah, Di Capua is in a bit of an awkward position because the top three are just going to mind their own business and maintain that 95% of their potential. They're not using too much energy. I mean, Paragic is actually full. His battery just bouncing off 100% at the moment. But Di Capua, of course, with no one to slipstream off of, I would say that gap's impossible for him to slow down, to close down. He's going to want to keep an eye on those behind him as Ronhar nearly joins Jake Benham in his car. Ronhar is in. Okay, so he didn't run those hard tyres as long as I thought he would. And speeding in the pit lane, didn't slow that one down enough. That's usually a precursor to a retirement. Is Ronhar going to park it and call it a day? No, he's going to have to deal with that penalty, unfortunately. Medium tyres. I'm surprised. I thought Ronhar was going to run that one towards the soft tyres, but he'd had enough. He was in the base position to be able to run that strategy as well. So that's a shame. So the alternate strategy not working for Thomas Ronhar.
Yeah, I think just getting caught in between, just kind of ruining things for him at the moment on that set of hard tyres. So he has come out in 16th place. He's come out in plenty of free air behind his teammate and will have the fresher tyres. That is going to be a tough one, though, I think, to fight with for the rest of this race. We'll obviously see where Pratchett, Lee, Longay and the rest of those that are still yet to come into the pits as we get them up on screen at the moment. 10 drivers have been into the pits once. 10 drivers are still yet to come in. And one of those, of course, our race leader, Tomek Pratchett, started on pole position, got overtaken at the start. We're already more than halfway through this race. It has flown by so far. There's been plenty of action to keep us entertained in round number 15 of Season 12 here in the WOR PC Tier 1 Championship. Is it going to be a championship winning performance from Nicholas Longay? Needs to work his way up the order at the moment, and he's now obviously the one that is suffering from being that third car in the train. So, could it be worth him being the first driver to come into the pits? Probably not this lap, but I think if neither of the leaders come in on lap 20, wouldn't surprise me if Longay decides to lunge for the pits.
Another penalty for Dylan Warren down in 18th position, just to make his day even worse. Yeah, you may well be right there, Luke. It may well be in Longay's interest to attempt the undercut. We will see as time wears on. The top three just still minding their own business, just ticking down the laps until the soft tyres become a viable option for them. And then it really will be gloves off, chips down. Let's see who's got the biggest cojones of the night. It's going to be a difficult one. This top three contains the two bets we made and also the championship leader. But how many times has Paragic, Lee and Longay crossed swords on the virtual battlefield? Many times in league racing and in esports as well. So they know what each other are capable of, and they know what they themselves are capable of. All three of them are capable to win, but if it all comes to grief, then it really is game on for the rest of the field.
Yeah, it is, and I think realising it's game on, we saw on the previous lap Luke Smith and Ika Baena getting pretty close together, leaders of those that have been into the pits at the moment. Luke Smith in 12th place, Baena in 11th. Of course, he was a bit further ahead, was Ika Baena at the start of this race on these drivers, but now that he's coming to the pits, he has fallen into the clutches of Luke Smith, but clearly pushing quite hard indeed, setting the fastest lap of the race. Is Luke Smith going to decide to go for one? Down the inside into turn number 1 comes the Alfa Romeo. As easy as you like, DRS proving to be very powerful around here. And Luke Smith able to retake the racing line and retake, possibly, we'll just check for gap, arguably you could say that is the net lead of the race at the moment then for Luke Smith, because you've got about a 20-second gap. You need 21-22 to make a pit stop around here, so Luke Smith would be in the lead of this race, but obviously he's going to have Pratchett, Lee, Longay and the others trying to fight their way through on the soft tyres. I'd say a top 4 finish though is possible for whoever's leading out of this train. Maybe even more.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing, isn't it? Is how well they're going to be able to fend off the advantages of soft tyre runners. And like you said, Luke, that DRS zone along that start-finish straight is so strong. It's going to be very difficult to, not impossible, just very hard to keep the soft runners behind them, as Dylan Warren now adds his name to the penalty board. Jake Benham is in. So this surely is for soft tyres as Brendan Lee jumps back ahead of Tomek Paragic and Marcus Towler as well into the pits as he earns himself a 5-second speeding in the pit lane penalty. As we now see the soft tyres being broken out, Is this a little bit too early? Well, that's exactly when I thought it would happen for the medium starts, or maybe 19 to 20 was when I thought they would happen. But it's all going to be down to, can they keep the soft tyres that long? Car's much lighter now, so it's going to be much easier to do. Yeah, it's very much game on at the moment, but the penalty counts are still rising. So with those people that are still pressing on, and we said before how easy it is to just wander that little bit too wide, as right on cue, thank you, Alessia De Capua, who's leading that particular pack from 4th to 7th. That could potentially be very painful for him, as Dylan Warren is back into the pits. This, I suspect, is retirement. Yet we've had our first retirement of the night. The Williams of Dylan Warren has parked the car.
Yeah, Dylan Warren retiring from the race. I think he had an off at turn number 9. That did cause a brief yellow flag, so he retires from the race. Not been the race he would have expected. Has never really got things going, despite a pretty good qualifying session. The leaders are deciding to stay out a bit longer. We have got someone coming into the pits. That's Duncan Hoffland and Lewis Welch on their way into the pit lane, so it'll be soft tyres for them. And we'll see where they come out relative to Jake Benham, who you imagine is going to be able to jump his way up the field. Carter Lundy getting very close to the back of Alessio Di Capua, not able to make that one work on this occasion. Jake Benham making his way around the final corner. We'll see how he's doing relative to Hoffland and Welsh. He was behind both of them. You're going to see them just coming out of the pits now. He is comfortably clear. I don't think they're even going to be within his DRS range. He is going to be pretty tight on the exit. But yeah, Jake Benham, 1 second clear of Hoffland and Welsh. Has that been a masterstroke from the All-Star?
Very nicely done. Well played, Jake Benham, there to clear Hoffland and Welch. Welch actually very nearly slammed into the back of Duncan Hoffland coming in. Oh, it certainly looked like it riding on board with the AlphaTauri. Nearly slammed into the back of Duncan Hoffland. He actually locked up his brakes and took out the polystyrene speed limit board in order to avoid impact with the Red Bull. But he did manage to keep his car intact and keep his front wing from being changed. Lots of fighting still going on in the next pack, though. Luke Smith leading this pack now in 6th. In comes Lee, but Paragic and Longue continuing. Oh, I thought the top 3 would come in together, but Longue has continued along with Paragic, and Carter Lundy as well from that top 5 pack have come in. Oh, now this is interesting. Is that going to put Brendan Lee into traffic? Is that what Paragic and Longue were banking on? Where is Brendan Lee going to reappear? He's going to be in traffic. That's Luke Smith. Is he going to be able to get past? That's going to be close coming into turn 1. Oh, just about. The double champion by the merest margin holds off Luke Smith coming into turn 1.
Oh, millimetres in that one, and they could be very important millimetres by the end of this race. Brendan Lee coming out of the pits ahead of Luke Smith. Maybe that's what he was keeping an eye on. Maybe he was thinking, you know, if I get someone to give me the gap to those guys, and then pit the lap before it becomes too late, because you'd imagine now Bradgett and Longue are going to have some overtakes to do. So Brendan Lee looking good to take the victory of this race. Ben Price saying he's called it. I'd be careful about that one, because I called it as well. And normally when I say something's going to happen, the complete opposite happens on this occasion. What is frustrating some of these early pit stop runners, as Bradgett and Longue now coming to the pits, is
no! Sorry to cut you off there, Luke. Longue smashed into the back of Paragic. Longue has got damage to the car. He overjudged the braking point and hit the back of the Mercedes. That's a new front wing for Longue.
Well, one more drama. What do you need here in WOR? A new front wing for Nicolas Longue. He's going to be a long way down the order on that set of the soft tyres. He's going to be outside of the points, I think, after this pit stop. Wow. You can see there, Jake Benham coming out has jumped ahead of him. Duncan Hoffland's jumped ahead of Nicolas Longue here, and I think Lewis Welsh is going to go around the outside. Oh, there's contact between them. Carter Lundy has to take evasive action. Well, that could be a dramatic moment, not only in the race, in this season's championship, as we've got Bradgett and Luke Smith going side by side here. And Bradgett's trying for all his worth to get the move done. He knows how crucial this could be for the race victory. Luke Smith's trying to hold on to this. Down the inside he goes. And Bradgett takes that position. Liam Bradgett first and second. Luke Smith in third. Nicolas Longue down in 12th. That could be a controversial moment there, depending. Was it Bradgett's braking extremely early? Was it just Nico Longue trying to be a bit too greedy?
I was riding on board with Longue. It looked fair from Paragic, in fairness. I didn't see at what point Perajic was at the speed limit marker board when he got to the pit lane speed limit. I couldn't see because I was riding on board with Longue, but as soon as Perajic committed to the brakes, you could just see it. You know when you've overcommitted to a corner, you know well before you've got there that it's never going to work. And I could just tell that Longue was going to hit the back of Perajic. Oh, it's certainly game on for the top two. I thought it was going to be top three, but Longue now out of the points, like you say, and in amongst all the soft runners. What is this going to do for the championship? That's the biggest question.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, at the moment, Perajic, we're talking 27 points behind, I think. At the moment is Tomek Perajic. If they finish as they are, and we're not going to count any penalties, we'll see how that is at the end of the race, he'll be able to close that gap down towards 9 points. And of course, this keeps Carroton in the battle as well with him not scoring. Thomas Ronhar would just drop outside of it with that penalty, and I think Ronhar might drop a bit further down because he's still stuck in a bit of a train at the moment. You can see him right on the back of Georges Nadir, and also he's got Hofland, Benham, Welsh, Longue, Lundy, De Capua all on their way behind him, all trying to close in. Important news at the start of the race though, we're nearly on to, well, at the front of the race, we're nearly on to lap number 25 here, and Tomek Perajic, I think, has used up quite a bit of his battery to get back within DRS range of Brendan Lee, and this is where the chess game starts once again for the final 9 laps.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, Perajic did this before. Actually, both Perajic and Lee did this before. Now he's going to go for it. I wondered if Perajic was going to stay behind Lee to recharge the battery again. He might do that a little bit later on. We'll see. I'm wondering who's going to be playing the game of chicken. It's advantage Lee in that respect because he's got the extra power on the battery, but it's not by much. So it's only a few percent in that. But I said earlier that Luke Smith was going to really struggle to recharge his battery, and he has been hovering around between 10 and 20% for quite a while. And look at all the cars he's got behind him. Luke Smith, if he hangs on to that third, he'd have driven the absolute storming race, because he's going to really struggle towards the tail end when everybody can just dump the battery and push on to really challenge the Alfa Romeo for that last podium spot. Luke Smith is in a bit of trouble if he can't find a way of recharging the battery, and I can't see how he's going to do it. If he can hang on, fair play to it.
Yeah, certainly. He's got to drive the widest Alfa Romeo this side of the Pyrenees, I think, if he wants to get a podium in this race. You've got Baena, Modesto Mena not too far behind him. Nadir's not got a penalty. He's going to have Hofland and some of those other soft runners starting to catch up to them, and that might be the catalyst. Once they start seeing Hofland, Ben and Welch catch up to the back of them, they might just start going for these moves a bit more. Perajic sets for fastest lap of the race. He's clear at this point. Brendan Lee nowhere near close enough, and fair play to Luke Smith. He's got some good pace in that final sector. Baena not able to get close enough. Nicholas Longue trying to close onto the back of Louis Welsh, who's running out of ERS at the moment. Our championship leaders going to try this round the outside of turn number 1. That gives you the inside line for turn number 2. There's a bit of wheel bag in between them, and Welsh goes round.
Oh, just pushed a little bit too wide on the exit of 2. Louis was then onto the dust, and round he went. That's dropped him right the way down. Oh, you never want to see it. The Padman right the way down to 16th, way out of the points at this point. He's got to be really, really careful that he doesn't hit anybody else as he rejoins the track. But you never want to see it. But you can go side by side through those corners, but sadly, Louis Welch just ran out of the road.
Yeah, I think you can get away with that one if there's a bit of tarmac runoff area. There's some gravel, and I think Louis will say, look, I was far enough alongside. Nico Longue will say, that move is never going to work. You should be backing out. I'll be very surprised if we don't see that one going to the stewards. Still, Perajic is leading this race. Still, Luke Smith is holding on here. And now, Hofland, Benham, Longue, Lundy and De Capua are on the back of this train. So we might see a few more dives into turn number 1, especially if Duncan Hofland wants to get his way up the order here. He might even just be thinking about getting a stiff of a podium place. Not on this occasion. He's not going to be close enough. Longue saw him go for the move, obviously, on Louis Welsh just about a minute and a half ago. Almost jinxed to be inside. He's too far behind us. Oh, someone has gone way across the runoff area there. Didn't quite see which car that was, but someone, I think, clearly gone a bit too deep, trying to get themselves out of the way. Don't believe that would have been a lapped car. No, it won't be, as Welsh is the last car, and he's now into the pits. But someone just getting a bit too hot into turn number 1. I think showing out of those medium tyres, they're already probably starting to struggle.
I confess I didn't see who that was that went for an exploratory route going through turns 1, 2 and 3. But Ryan Jacobs and Harvey Cohen have been having an absolute a great scrap for 16th position. Ryan Jacobs on the softs. He's, you should, on very young softs of that, you'd have thought would have blasted past the hardshot Ferrari, but Harvey Cohen has given him a right old run for his money. Gets it a little bit wrong coming through 7 and 8. I've commentated cursed him. I'll take that one. Now it should be Ryan Jacobs now should be able to dance off into the distance. But whoa, as Harvey Cohen then has a big dive on the inside of turn. I think they're just having a bit of fun. Ryan Jacobs looked like he backed off on the way down towards turn 10. I think they're just out there to enjoy themselves. Leroy Brown's about to catch them as well. I mean, why not? They're not close to the point. It doesn't look like for their sake they're going to be able to catch up to Jake Benham or that particular pack. So have a bit of fun out there. Why not?
Yeah, why not? And it's great to see that they've not, the pit and quit is something that happens a lot on the F1 games. It is understandable, but they're thinking, get a bit of experience, have a bit of fun. The drivers that have raced against each other previously on the Xbox platform here at WOR. Why not just see what we can do? And Harvey Cohen doing a very respectable job on 20-lap-old hard tyres as well to keep up with Ryan Jacobs, who maybe is just taking it a bit easier at some points just to ensure he does have that bit of fun. As Carter Lundy gets a penalty, Georges Adair was very wobbly coming through turn number 7 and 8 there. That McLaren was swivelling all over the place. And will this just give a bit of an opportunity for Thomas Ronhar round the outside? At turn number 10, he tries it. He's just going to find himself getting ran out of the road there. Ooh, he was off track when he made that move. And I think quite wisely, Adair gets back ahead of him there. This is going to give Thomas Ronhar, though, the inside for the next corner. And he's got that position done. And Georges Adair picks up a 3-second time penalty. This is what we expected to see. Things are getting a bit more feisty now as we enter the final 5 laps.
That was a bit brutish there from Thomas Ronhar. I would think that Georges Adair may feel a bit aggrieved by that. Duncan Hoffman's gone past him as well. But Lee and Paragic are very, very close together now. Just about 55% of the battery for Paragic, 86% in the battery for Brendan Lee. So there's plenty of battling going on up front, and they're just running away from Luke Smith, who's managed to get his battery back up to 30%. So whilst it may not be as high as he'd like, it might be enough. That's the thing. Luke Smith may be able to fend off the advances of another, about 10 cars behind. There's Carter Lundy and Nicholas Longuet side by side. Oh, as Longuet now gets himself up on the penalty board, that's going to nail any kind of, I say nail any progress. Everyone around him has got a 3-second penalty. So all that does is just prevent him gaining suddenly. As Louis Welch, now having pitted, and fair play that he's still in the race, is just claiming the fastest lap. And Harvey Cohen now with another penalty on the board. There's less drivers without penalties than with them now.
Yeah, sometimes we see this a lot. The faster drivers seem to be able to keep it clean. The top 5 have got no penalties. Neither has Duncan Hoffman in 8th. Neither has Leroy Brown, to be honest, down in 18th place. So he's done a very respectable job in late indeed. Brendan Lee is closing this time. Thinks about it and then bails out of that at the last moment. It's sort of all up to Brendan Lee here. He can kind of choose when he wants to go for the move. And I imagine on the penultimate lap of the race, Tomer Krajic is going to be driving like his life depends on it to try to break that 1-second window and try to give himself an opportunity of claiming what could be a very crucial victory in the championship, with Nicholas Longuet not scoring any points at the moment. We can safely say, I believe, that Longuet is not going to be claiming the championship here. This will move Paragic up into 2nd place. Caviton would still be there in 3rd. Ronhar would be out of things, and I am just going to briefly check. I still do think, though, with Luke Smith finishing in 3rd place, that this might just be enough for Alfa Romeo to clinch the constructors, but definitely not what Longuet would have been hoping for at the start of the day. And fair play to Luke Smith, he is still hanging on there.
Yeah, he's doing an absolutely storming job. And Louis Watts has retired his car in the pit lane. He tried to make up some time, but has opted not to. Opted not to continue. Now, bearing in mind, Thomas Ronhar has 11 seconds worth of penalties to his name. That is going to bring Nicholas Longuet into the points just. But that's his run for the title is going to be very short-lived. 3 to go. Is Brendan Lee going to make the move? No, Brendan Lee's remaining behind Paragic. He's biding his time. Full battery in the Ferrari, 3/4 full for the Mercedes. So whilst Paragic has got a bit of a deficit, it's going to be enough. He can just deploy the battery in the hope of building up a gap at the crucial time to try and keep Brendan Lee behind. Unless these two come together, one of these two, it's going to take the top spot. If these two come together, oh my goodness, that is going to completely rewrite things. If they do, I'll take the commentator's curse point for that one, guilty as charged. But Paragic doing just what he needs to do. But in this final sector is when he's going to try and push to get the necessary gap to Brendan Lee. Really needs to be around about 7-ish tenths before they get onto the start-finish straight. And building up 7 tenths over Brendan Lee, well, good luck with that. As no, Longuet is giving himself another 3-second penalty.
And I think now
my goodness me.
I think he's just decided, to throw caution to the wind now that he's got that penalty sent on Alessio Di Capua. Fair play to him. He got it stopped in time. Di Capua did see him coming, which is a good job. Otherwise, I think that would have been a massive crash. But, yeah, Longuet driving with anger. And I think to paraphrase what Martin Blundell said earlier, when you're driving in anger, you don't tend to go forwards too much. You tend to spend a lot of time going sideways and backwards. Longuet, he knows he's going to need a bit of a miracle here. Unfortunately, to score any points, as Brendan Lee and Paracic side by side. Lee over the curb. Just caught the tail end of that one. That was his first move. He's gone for it. And it's not quite worked out on this occasion. Using some more ERS round the outside at turn number 4 is going to be a brave one. Pratchett holds on. Lee's gone for it on the penultimate lap of the race. And this one could get feisty.
Oh, Paragic defended the inside line. That's what forced Brendan Lee to take the wider line coming through turn 1. And Paragic got his elbows out. He's got some... he's not shy, is he? Truth alive. Fair play. Tomek Paragic. He's doing what he can, but Brendan Lee is not happy about it. It looks on the outside line of turn 10. That's not really going to go his way. Tries to get back underneath the Mercedes. Not coming for it. Wow, this is where it's all going to come good. Paragic needs the drive of his life through this final sector to build up any kind of gap. Brendan Lee knows what he needs to do. They've both got enough, but and a big cut over over one of the last turns. But Brendan Lee, what on earth was that? That might go to the steward. He completely cut one of the turns through that final chicane. So Brendan Lee should now blast past Tomek Paragic. As Paragic nearly nudges the back of the Ferrari, but that was a bit of a strange move there from Brendan Lee. That could well be looked at post-event. But Tomek Paragic, he's going to give it everything he's got. Well, he's nearly got nothing left in the battery now. He deployed everything he had down that start-finish straight to keep Brendan Lee behind. It's advantage Lee at the moment. Brendan Lee defends the inside line at 5. And again, Brendan Lee parking it on the apex, disrupting the momentum of Tomek Paragic. He's going to give it everything he had in this final sector.
Yeah, he is indeed. Now, Paragic, he might not have a lot of ERS. He's just got the better tyres, though. Is he going to go for a send into turn number 10? Round the outside, he tries it on Brendan Lee, who's going to force them both off the circuit there. This could get controversial. This could get nasty. Don't write out Luke Smith for a victory in this race. Lee just holds on for now. He's only got the final few corners to go, and these are not really an overtaking opportunity. It looks like it is going to be Brendan Lee who comes around the final few corners. He took the lead at the start. He's had a fantastic battle with Pratchett. Lee takes the victory. Tomek Pratchett in second place, and Luke Smith, take your hat off to him. He finishes in third place, and that secures Alfa Romeo the Constructors' Championship here in Season 12. Baena, Maina, Nordyke, Benham, Nedea, Lundy and Hoffland are the rest of the points finishers. These are definitely going to be provisional results, I think it's fair to say there. Brendan Lee takes the victory. Some very, I think, smart driving is how we might sum that one up.
Wow, my goodness me, what an incredible fight we had for the podium spots. But Luke Smith, as far as I'm concerned, driver of the day there, because he hung on to that last podium spot against... I didn't see that he was going to do it. And fair play Jake Benham as well, 11 positions up from where he started to come home in 7th, I think it was. Absolutely brilliant stuff. What might have been for some of our drivers. Well, there you go. Driver of the day goes to Jake Benham for how many positions he gained in that race. But it's going to be Brendan Lee, for the moment at least, taking that top spot on the podium.
Yeah, Brendan Lee does take that top spot on the podium. It was looking obviously like a really massive fight between the two of them all race long. Longuet was involved, just getting that penalty. Just breaking his front wing, I should say, before he got the penalties. Pratchett's in second place does leave him in a very handy place in the championship. Let's not forget, I believe that puts him now just 9 points behind Longuet. So maybe in pole position to take the championship going into the final round. But it is Brendan Lee who takes the victory there. Tomek Pratchett in second place. Luke Smith Fantastic job to get what is only his second podium of the season. Fantastic making that strategy work to finish in third. By Aynham and Maynard, 2 Spaniards in the top 5. Juice Nordyke in 6th, Jake Benham 7th, Nadir in 8th, Carter Lundy in 9th, Duncan Hoffland dropped a couple of places towards the end and picked up a penalty. He'll be slightly disappointed with 10th place. And Nicolas Longue, exactly when he needed to score points, only the second time this season, he has finished and failed to score in the points. Papinto, Ronhar, Cohen, Jacobs, Towler, Brown, De Capua were the rest of the finishers. Louis Walsh retiring towards the end, getting the fastest lap. And Dylan Warren finishing in 20th place from what was, we expected, a dramatic race, Chris. That's certainly what we got towards the end. We knew the gloves would come off. I don't think we anticipated quite that much.
No. We did say, didn't we, at the beginning, that Catalunya in its sim racing form is always one to watch. And wow, were we treated to an absolute humdinger of a race towards the end? Yes, we were. And fair play to Paragic. He gave that one everything he possibly could to keep the multiple champion behind him. Like I said, a bit of a strange line coming through that final chicane towards the final lap for Brendan Lee. There could have been a reason for it, but we'll let the stewards bat that one out should it go towards the stewards for review. But my word, it was a brilliant race, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, it was. I believe we are going to be able to get at least some of our drivers in there for interviews, which is always nice to see. They're always nice and keen to join us and hear what the drivers have got to say. So we're going to start off then with the man who took the victory in that race then. It was Brendan Lee. Tell us about that final lap with yourself and Tomek.
Yeah, it was juicy, you know. He pushed me off on the lap before. So I understand I cut the chicane. I locked up the front left. It wasn't, let's say, like I was planning it. I just locked up the front left, realized I wasn't going to make the corner. There was so much on the limit, you know. It was like 5-6 seconds ahead of the next car. So we were going quick. So I just made an honest mistake. And you have to look at it factually as well. He had another corner cut warning in the race. So when you look at factually, we both had a corner cut warning. So it was even on that sense. It's just I took mine at a more critical time. But yeah, we were just hard racing, in my opinion. I don't know if he's going to try and go to stewards about it. If he does, it's fine. I don't mind. So yeah, it was enjoyable. It was a really good race in that way.
Now, you went for it on the penultimate lap of the race, where I think quite a few people were maybe expecting for you to wait until the final lap. Was there any reason for that? Did you just feel good at that moment in time? So I thought, yeah, might as well send it while I've got the chance.
Oh, of course I boxed a lap earlier to start with on the stint because I knew it was going to be close coming out with the train of all the medium runners. But unfortunately, we both came out in front, basically. We came out in front of the train. Whereas I was hoping to be at the front of the train. And then if you notice very closely on my outlap, I slowed down in the final sector to give the cars behind DRS. What I was hoping would put maybe 2 or 3 more cars in between us. So as soon as I saw that Tomek was with me, I just started saving my tires the whole time. I noticed that he started to lift and coast towards the end of the straight. So I knew that he was saving a lot of battery. I didn't know exactly how much battery he had because I don't have the engineer with me. I just knew that he was probably going to have enough for like 2 laps. So if 2 people with like 80% or above battery try to both go for it on the final lap, unless there's a mistake, normally the guy in front is going to cover it off. Whereas I was confident I had enough for 2 laps. You see what I mean? 2 laps of pushing. So I could get past him, and then I felt confident to defend from him the next lap.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Heard it from the horse's mouth. That is why I commentate, and that is why Brendan drives. Chris, any questions for our race winner?
Oh, not at all. It's been a great honour and a pleasure to commentate on you again, Brendan. I've had the great delight of seeing you throughout league racing, but yeah, really thinking about utilising the, giving DRS to fellow chasers to try and put them in between yourself and your opposition post pit stop. That is why you've been in the champion spot position before. Great to see you racing, Brendan.
Thank you so much. It was enjoyable. We got, I think, 1 more race to go at it, so should be good.
Yeah, certainly. There is one final race. So, Brendan, just before you go, how are you feeling about the final race at Brazil?
Oh, it's at Brazil? Sorry, I didn't even know the calendar. I think it should be good. We did a PSGL race there a few weeks ago, so it should be fairly jump on and play. Then Final race should be a bit of chaos. Hopefully see like good battling. Send it.
Yep, send it indeed. Congratulations, Brendan. We'll let you head off now.
Thank you so much. Ciao.
And we're going to bring
Ciao, indeed.
Yeah, we're going to bring in the man who finished second place in that race, said Tomek Pratchett, so close to taking a victory there. Tell us your point of view on that final lap.
Yeah, I mean, quite a battle with Brendan. I knew it would come down to those last 2 laps, and it's done exactly that. What can I say, really? An interesting battle for sure. Very hard, very on the limit. I must say I enjoyed that because that was some very nice racing with Brendan. Obviously, a lot of debate around his cut of the chicane starting the last lap or the turn 10. But yeah, I'm not the one to judge those incidents. This will be left to the stewards. So for now, provisionally P2. Yeah, I mean, quite happy with the result. PB'd in quali with a very nice lap. So a lot of positives to take. And yeah, it was a fun battle on the last laps, and we'll see if stewards have anything to say about it.
Yeah, we will. Talking about some fun as well. You and Nicholas Longe got a bit too close together for comfort in the pit lane. Were you worried that might just send you over the speed limit when you felt the bump in the rear?
I mean, I think it really came down to the fact that I broke. So I broke very early. I was very safe going to the pits because actually I was sitting on the call with Thomas Ronha, who sped into the pits, and that kind of left a thing in the back of my mind just to not speed. So I broke that 10-20 meters earlier, and I think Nicholas wanted to get an insane pit entry because it was very close where he would come out, and that combined just led to him absolutely smashing into me. So yeah, I mean, I did brake a little bit earlier than probably Nico expected, but I think another just a racing incident, really misjudged from Nico. I think the braking, he just didn't consider the car ahead. No, actually, coming back to your question, I don't think there was any risk of it bumping me over the speed limit. Although it gave me like proper 20 kph for a second. Thankfully, it didn't result in any consequences for me. So,
yeah. Thankfully, it did all work out for yourself. Chris, any questions for Tomek?
Oh, dobre wieczór, Tomek. Good to see you. It's been great to see your progress through league racing and seeing how your pace has gone from incredible to absolutely phenomenal, and especially at such a young age. Really, really enjoy the road ahead for you. Well done, Tomek.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you to Tomek for joining us. We'll let you head off now and bring in the man who finished in third place in that race. I think surprising us all, Luke Smith. And Chris, you said he was your driver of the day. Why not take us through an interview with our third place finisher, Luke Smith?
Oh, Luke, good to have a chat with you again. But how in God's name did you keep that many cars behind you with a dead battery, sir?
That's a good question. Hello. And I think generally it's not an easy track to overtake with at Spain, and I knew that the cars behind, particularly Iker and Modesto, were just charging their battery up for probably an attempt in the last couple of laps to make a move. So I realized that I don't need to use too much ERS to start with. So all I need to do is just save up until those last 2 laps, where I had about 40% ERS at the start of lap 32. It wasn't that easy to save without DRS. But yeah, all that mattered was getting good exits in the crucial points, which was really only the last chicane coming onto the final lap. So yeah, I did that. Had a bit of a scary moment into turn 10 on the last lap as well, but yeah, did everything I needed to do with a surprisingly low amount of resources. I thought I'd be able to save more, but yeah, it was good fun and a nice challenge.
Oh, wow. I confess, I thought you were going to be absolutely mullered on the penultimate run down the start-finish straight, just because it looked like you were really struggling to maintain that kind of battery level. But, I mean, fair play. I should never have doubted you. I've seen you race many times, and yet again, great to see you getting on the podium in quite adverse circumstances. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, just one quick one from me, Luke. That's his second podium now this season. Heading into the final race, you've secured the championship in the constructors alongside Nico Longe for Alfa Romeo. So congratulations on that one. Do you think you'll be able to help out in the final race of the season? We don't believe Nicholas is going to be there. So if you could get a victory, you'll be doing him a massive favour, of course.
Well, the issue is I won't be able to make it. This isn't great, I'll be honest. So it's going to be a bit of hoping and praying more for the finale at Brazil. But yeah, whoever takes my seat, good luck. And good luck to all the drivers in the final race. Obviously, I would want to help, but due to mitigating circumstances, can't. So. Yeah, still hope Nico is able to have a shot at the title, but yeah, it's going to be difficult. But yeah, not a lot we can do now. So yeah,
definitely. Obviously, real life obviously sometimes out of our hands. So congratulations, Luke, on the podium. We'll let you head off.
Thank you, and cheers for the season, everyone.
Yeah, thank you indeed. Cheers to Luke for joining us, and obviously we also had Tomek and Brendan there as well. That is pretty much it for this stream then, and as all the drivers alluded to, we've only got one more round left, and you can see it there. May the 29th at Brazil, at Interlagos. It just feels right that we're going to have a championship decider there. Longe 153, Paracic 148, Cavaton 134. With the form Tomek is in, and given the fact that Longe is not going to be there, I think he might take some beating.
Yeah, he's definitely advantage Paracic on that one. Again, Carrington may well storm the field. It's you really can't discount anything with the performance we've seen tonight alone. It's very much open between those three, but there's plenty of fighting throughout the field, and there's only one place to watch it, right here in WOR.
Yeah, we'll be right here live at 7 p.m. for what will be the final race of WOR on F1 2021. That is pretty much it for this stream. Thanks so much for all the drivers for putting on an absolutely fantastic show. Thanks so much to Chris Buxton for joining me as well. You can check him out on Twitter at KingKodiak_UK, I believe.
Correct, yes, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, make sure to check myself out as well at LukeEtheridge95. I believe it will be Ginger Andy and Dadfield back for the final race of the season. A three-way battle for the championship at Brazil. Will it be Longe, Paracic or Cavaton who comes out on top and becomes the final champion for WOR on F1 2021? Thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you in a week's time. Goodbye.